Chapter 110. Fang Shishir was actually afraid, but there were some things that had to be done even if one was afraid, such as protecting one's family. Seeing the other's large hand grab at her, she subconsciously wanted to scream but discovered that a hand had reached out from behind her. Her heart trembled. That's right, she had Tang Jing to protect her, so what was there to be afraid of? Immediately, her heart calmed down, like a person in the middle of a storm who had grabbed onto a life-saving straw. There was no fear, but instead a faint expectation. The young man originally thought that he would be able to catch her, but discovered that his hand was grabbed by another hand. That hand was like a pair of iron pincers, making him unable to move. He looked up and discovered a young face. This face was somewhat familiar, but he did not know where he had seen it before. Who are you? Those who mingled in the underworld also had a bit of eyesight. From Tang Zheng's iron pincer-like hand, they could determine that the other party was not like Fang Chonghua, who was only good for looking but useless. If you want to talk, then talk. Why are you making a move? Tang Zheng reprimanded. Who do you think you are? The other party's face flushed red as he angrily said. Tang Zheng coldly smiled as his hand exerted force, causing the other party to cry out miserably as the veins on his forehead popped out. Upon seeing this, the other youths became restless as they loudly roared, "Let him go." Greater than or equal to Tang Jing swept his eyes over the other party, but no one dared to make a move. Fang Chonghua looked at Tang Jing in shock as he never thought that he would have such a move. It seems like his previous investigation was not thorough enough, as he actually knew martial arts. Shi Mengqin's eyes lit up as her spirit was instantly restored. She arrogantly shouted, "Tang Jing, teach them a lesson for me and let them know my strength." Tang Jing did not move, but he felt Fang Shishir tug on his clothes from behind. He turned his head and smiled at her. "Relax, no one can hurt you." Fang Shishir sweetly smiled as she happily nodded her head, feeling especially safe. Women needed a sense of security, and Tang Zheng was undoubtedly someone who could give others a sense of security, especially at this critical moment. Shi Mengqin, seeing that she was ignored, flew into a rage. "Tang Zheng, did you hear what I said? Teach this group of trash a lesson for me." Tang Zheng looked at her indifferently and let go of her hand. That person took a few deep breaths and hurriedly took a few steps back and asked in horror, "Who are you? Who are you people?" Tang Zheng asked. One of the young men stared fixedly at Tang Zheng. Suddenly, a look of disbelief appeared in his eyes. He quickly whispered something in the ear of the young man in the lead. The young man's eyes instantly widened as he asked incredulously, "You are young Master Tang?" "Young Master Tang." The others all revealed looks of horror, as if they had met their nemesis, and they couldn't help but take a few steps back. These two words seemed to have boundless magical power, causing people to tremble in fear. Tang Jing suspiciously looked at the other party as they actually recognized him. Only Lin Hu knew how to address him, so could it be that he was one of Lin Hu's people? Fang Chonghua and Shi Mengqin looked at each other as they were at a loss. Were these people stupid? They actually called this poor bastard young Master Tang. What a joke! What kind of young master was he? Wasn't he just a trash picker? Since you know who I am, then why haven't you apologized to this young miss? Since the other party was one of Lin Hu's people, Tang Jing did not plan to pursue the matter. That person was in fear and trepidation as he deeply bowed towards Fang Shishir and bitterly begged, "This young miss, I'm sorry. It was all my fault. You are a great person, so please don't lower yourself to my level. I beg you to let me go." Fang Shishir was still in a state of shock as she looked at this person who was originally flaunting his power and was actually apologizing to her. She was a little stunned. Fang Chonghua felt even more incredulous as he had been in the business world for half his life and had never seen such a strange thing. Shi Mengqin was also confused, but her face revealed an arrogant and excited expression as she arrogantly ordered, "Ruthlessly teach him a lesson." Fang Shishir directly looked at Tang Zheng, hoping that he would make a decision. Tang Zheng nodded his head and said, after apologizing, "You can leave. There is nothing for you to do here." "Yes, thank you, young Master Tang. We will first take our leave." The other party called out to his companions and hurriedly retreated, carefully closing the door behind him. The atmosphere in the private room relaxed as Xi Mengqin stared at Tang Zheng with dissatisfaction and said, "Why didn't you ruthlessly teach him a lesson? How could it be that simple after apologizing?" Tang Zheng inwardly shook his head as Xi Mengqin, this kind of unreasonable mother, was able to raise a well-educated daughter like Fang Shishir. It was a miracle that Fang Shishir did not have that kind of bad temper. "If you want to teach them a lesson, then go yourself." Tang Zheng crossed his arms as he looked at Xi Mengqin with ridicule. "What kind of tone is that? Daring to speak to me like that, you must be overturning the heavens." Xi Mengqin clamored as she was afraid of those people but was not afraid of Tang Zheng. Fortunately, Fang Chongguo was smart and stopped his wife as he nervously said, "Little Tang, let's quickly leave this place. They just mistook you for someone else, and when they find out the truth, they will definitely come back. At that time, we will be in trouble." It was clear that Fang Chongguo did not believe that Tang Zheng was the young master Tang and thought that they had mistaken him for someone else. Tang Zheng smiled but did not refute. Fang Shishir was clearly dissatisfied as her boyfriend had solved this problem, but her parents did not believe in his ability, so she pulled Tang Zheng to sit down and said, "I am not afraid. With Tang Zheng here, no one can harm us. Shishir, this is not the time to mess around. Those people do not look like good people, so we should quickly leave this place." Fang Chongguo became serious as he was clearly scared by this group of people. Fang Shishir pouted and said, "It was clearly a family eating happily, but it ended up like this. How boring. Shishir, if you want to eat then order." "It's okay." Tang Zheng passed the menu to her without a trace of fear, causing Fang Chongguo to frown and said, "Tang Zheng, this is not the time to be brave. If you want to eat then go to another restaurant." Xi Mengqin agreed, "Sure, let's go. If he wants to eat then let him eat alone. If he wants to die then don't drag us down with him." After saying this, she pulled Fang Shishir and was about to leave. "Mom, what are you doing?" Fang Shishir unhappily broke free from her mother's hand. Fang Chongguo solemnly said, "Shishir, listen to your mom. Let's go." He glanced at Tang Zheng and inwardly shook his head. Being young and impetuous was not a good thing, and this kind of person usually did not have a good ending. Immediately, he became even more determined to separate his daughter and Tang Zheng. Creak. The door opened, causing several people to jump in fright as they all looked towards the door. A group of people blocked the door, causing Fang Chongguo and Xi Mengqin's faces to turn pale as they hastily retreated. "See, I told you to quickly leave. Now that people have come knocking on our door, we can't leave even if we want to." Xi Mengqin roared in panic as she looked at Tang Zheng with incomparable disgust. Fang Chongguo's face was also ugly. Fang Shishir looked at Tang Zheng with concern only to see him calmly sitting on the fishing platform without any reaction. A person who looked like a leader swaggered in, and Xi Mengqin pointed at Tang Zheng and shouted, "It's him. All of this was caused by him. He was the one who pretended to be someone else and has nothing to do with us." "Mom, how can you be like this?" Fang Shishir said with a belly full of anger. Fang Chongguo did not stop her as his heart was apprehensive. From the leader's aura, he could see that he was not an ordinary person. This was especially true for the fierce aura around him, which caused his heart to tremble in fear. Tang Zheng stood up without the slightest trace of fear on his face as he walked towards the other party. The others looked at him in shock while Fang Shishir pulled on him with concern written all over her face. Tang Zheng patted her hand to make her feel at ease before walking towards the newcomer. A clear and bright laugh suddenly sounded. "Young Master Tang, it really is you. I heard from my little brother that they had mistaken you for someone else." The newcomer was an old acquaintance, Lin Hu. When he heard his little brother say that he had provoked Tang Zheng, he jumped in fright and hurried over. Tang Zheng nodded his head and said, "It was just a small misunderstanding." Lin Hu's heart relaxed. Since Tang Zheng said that it was a small misunderstanding, then this matter was not that serious. Of course, he could not appear relaxed as he turned his head to look at his little brother and fiercely said, "Scram out here. The young man from before stood up in fear and with a put-on sound, knelt down in front of Tang Zheng. He laid his head on the ground and trembled. The others all looked at Tang Zheng with the same expression. All in all, it was fear. Fang Chonghua and Shi Mengqin were dumbstruck. If they thought that the other party had mistaken him for someone else, but now that the boss had arrived, how could the boss have mistaken him for someone else? The answer was obviously no. But this did not make sense. The poor bastard in their eyes was actually revered by this group of people. They felt that their worldview was about to collapse. Shi Mengqin licked her lips and looked at her husband. She did not know what to say. Fang Chonghua's mouth was dry and his throat moved. In the end, he did not say anything. On the contrary, Fang Shishi's face was filled with excitement as her large eyes glowed. Tang Zheng's image in her heart instantly became even greater. This is Boss Fan's head, Saber Zai. He is currently working for me. This time, I specially invited all my little brothers to eat together to consolidate their hearts. I never thought that he would actually provoke you. Lin Hu said with a complicated feeling. After he took over Boss Fan's territory, the majority of Boss Fan's little brothers had pledged allegiance to him. This time, he specially invited his little brothers to eat together in order to win their hearts and make them sincerely pledge allegiance to him. He never thought that Saber Zai would actually provoke Tang Zheng, causing him to not know what to do. Saber Zai and the others had all participated in the forest battle. However, Tang Zheng came quickly and left quickly. Although he left a deep impression on others, not many people remembered his appearance. There was a clever person who remembered him, which was why he spoke out to remind Saber Zai. Young Master Tang. This name was too resounding among this group of people. That battle was won by Tang Zheng and Boss Fan was even crippled by Tang Zheng. How could they provoke such a fierce person? Moreover, the new boss and Tang Zheng's relationship was not shallow. To provoke the boss's friend right after pledging allegiance to the new boss was simply seeking death. Young Master Tang, I beg you to let me go. I will never dare to do this again. In the future, I will be your cow or horse to repay you. Saber Zai's heart was like dead ashes as he begged in fear. Chapter 111. Dao Zai was actually a person who dared to fight and was definitely not a coward, but he was currently a rootless duckweed. If he could not establish himself under the new boss, then his future days would be very difficult. The underworld was Jianghu. The people of Jianghu seemed to have a rich and colorful life, but in reality, how much bitterness was hidden was difficult for outsiders to know. Where there were people, there would be grudges. The grudges of Jianghu were even more endless and the grudges were even more intense. Therefore, if a Jianghu person wanted to leave Jianghu, it would be very difficult unless they reached Huang Biao's level and did not fear the revenge of others. Otherwise, even if it was Lin Hu, he would not dare to leave Jianghu. Leaving meant that he would lose his power and his enemies would come knocking on his door. Without the care of his fellow soldiers, it was possible that one day he would end up as a corpse on the streets. Dao Zai understood this point, which was why his heart was like dead ashes. Lin Hu looked at Tang Zheng but did not say anything. If Tang Zheng really punished Dao Zai, then he would have nothing to say. In his heart, Tang Zheng's position surpassed anyone else. Everyone's eyes all focused on Tang Zheng's body as he was the focus of the crowd. The private room was completely silent as even Shi Mengqin stopped her clamoring, leaving only the sound of slightly hurried breathing. Tang Zheng and Lin Hu looked at each other. He naturally understood Dao Zai's meaning to Lin Hu. Moreover, Dao Zai did not make too big of a mistake, so he bent down and supported Dao Zai's arm. Dao Zai's entire body trembled, showing the great fear in his heart. Stand up. You are Huzi's brother, so of course you are my brother. Brothers of the same family, this is also called no discord, no concord. Tang Zheng calmly said. In Dao Zai's ears, this voice was like the sound of nature. No voice in the world was more pleasant than this voice. He was especially excited as he timidly looked at Tang Zheng. Discovering that the other was not lying, he hurriedly said, young Master Tang is magnanimous. In the future, Dao Zai will do anything for you without hesitation. That sonorous and powerful tone was not the least bit fake. Tang Jing smiled and patted his shoulder, saying, properly follow Huzi and your days will only get better and better. Yes, young Master Tang. Dao Zi nodded respectfully. Lin Hu smiled. After such a ruckus, he unexpectedly did not make Dao Zi and the others bitterly disappointed. Instead, he was able to rope them in. He felt that Tang Zheng was simply his lucky star, so he laughed heartily and said, young Master Tang's breadth of mind is truly admirable. Everyone else, leave, don't disturb young Master Tang's mood of eating. The younger brothers filed out and closed the door. Lin Hu pulled Tang Zheng and said, are these young Master Tang's friends? Let me introduce myself first. My name is Lin Hu. I'm a rough man and I'm trying to make a living in ordinary balance. Fang Chongguo quickly changed his expression and shook hands with Lin Hu, saying, this humble one is Fang Chongguo. Director Fang, nice to meet you. Lin Hu said warmly. Shi Mengqin wanted to say something but hesitated. Fang Chongguo's eyes were sharp and his hands were quick as he hurriedly stopped his wife, afraid that she would say something that would offend the other party. Fang Chongguo had never heard of Lin Hu's name, but it was clear that the other party was not an ordinary person. It was best not to provoke him. What he was most puzzled about was the relationship between Tang Zheng and Lin Hu. It seemed that Lin Hu was very respectful towards him. But this did not make sense. Could it be that Tang Zheng was the son of some big-shot family and deliberately maintained a low profile? But what kind of big-shot family would pick up trash and live in a broken house? He had a stomach full of questions and was prepared to go home and properly ask his daughter about Tang Zheng's background. Fang Shishir was very happy as Tang Zheng had resolved this crisis, making her feel that she had face in front of her parents. In the future, there would be less resistance, so she pulled Tang Zheng and happily ordered the dishes. Fang Chongguo and Shi Mengqin became supporting characters and did not say a word. Lin Hu would occasionally whisper a few words to Tang Zheng before raising his head to look at the Fang couple. His expression clearly changed. The two were shocked as they did not know what Tang Zheng said. They were deeply afraid that he would say bad things about them, but they did not dare to directly ask. Don't look at how Lin Hu was respectful in front of Tang Zheng and did not put on any airs. That was because Tang Zheng was strong enough to make Lin Hu accept him wholeheartedly. In front of others, Lin Hu's aura was not weak. After all, he had been in Jianghu for tens of years and his domineering aura could not be concealed. Every time Lin Hu glanced at them, the two's hearts would suddenly jump. However, Lin Hu's attitude towards Fang Shishir was clearly much better as he was not stingy with his praises, causing her to beam with joy. In reality, Tang Zheng did not say bad things about the Fang couple and was only speaking the truth. Moreover, Lin Hu was not an idiot. He could see that the two were clearly dissatisfied with Tang Zheng and could not help but snort disdainfully. He had seen many of these so-called successful people who thought that they could fly to the sky with just a little bit of money. In his eyes, they were not worth mentioning. As they spoke, a table full of dishes was served. Lin Hu poured a cup of wine and said, young Master Tang, let me toast you. I'll drink it, you can drink as much as you want. The culture of the wine table was broad and profound. Just this simple sentence contained too many profound meanings. Fang Chongguo naturally understood the profound meaning behind it, and that was that Lin Hu had lowered his status to a very low level. Tang Zheng also drank it in one gulp. Lin Hu gave him face so he naturally would return it. Director Fang, let's drink. Lin Hu also said. His attitude towards Fang Chongguo was clearly much more casual. Shi Mengqin was about to flare up but was stopped by her husband. Mr. Lin, let me toast you. Fang Chongguo smiled and drank first. Lin Hu also raised his head and drank, saying, young Master Tang, I still have guests to take care of so I'll go first. You guys take your time eating. Tang Zheng nodded his head. Dong dong. Just at this moment, a knock sounded out and the door was pushed open. A woman walked in. This woman was around 30 years old and had a strong aura. She was dressed in martial attire and exuded a heroic spirit. Although she could not be considered beautiful, she was very pleasing to the eye. "Brother Hu, you ran over here and left me to drink alone. That's not good enough." She leisurely walked over and said in a coquettish yet angry tone. Lin Hu stood up and laughed. "Fire Phoenix, look, aren't I just about to go over?" Tang Jing thoughtfully looked at the person who came in. So she was actually Fire Phoenix. It seems like Lin Hu has already begun to carry out his plan to rope her in. Fire Phoenix's almond eyes swept over the several people. Her gaze paused on Fang Shishi's face as she said in her heart, "What a beautiful girl." However, she directly ignored Tang Zheng. This was because Tang Zheng was indeed very ordinary. He did not have the tyrannical aura of a tiger and was just like an ordinary high school student. Moreover, there was a bit of shyness between his eyebrows, giving off the feeling of a neighbor's big boy. "Brother Hu, why don't you introduce your friend to me? Are you afraid that I will steal your business?" Fire Phoenix said with a smile. "Fire Phoenix, my small business is not worthy of your attention." Lin Hu paused for a moment and solemnly introduced, "This is young Master Tang." Fire Phoenix's gaze finally fell on Tang Zheng's body. Her eyes flashed with a trace of astonishment, but she immediately smiled like a flower and said, "Young Master Tang, nice to meet you." From Lin Hu's tone, she could hear the respect he had for Tang Zheng. Moreover, he was the first to introduce Tang Zheng. This meant that the other party's identity was not ordinary. To be worthy of the title of young Master Tang, he was definitely not an ordinary person. Her mind quickly flashed past ordinary balance and other large families. However, none of them had the surname Tang. This made her unable to see through Tang Zheng's background. "Fire Phoenix, your reputation is not as good as meeting you in person." "Nice to meet you." Tang Zheng nodded. Fire Phoenix smiled, "Oh, young Master Tang, you have actually heard of my name. It is my honor." Her gaze turned and looked at the other people. "What about these people?" Lin, who had not yet introduced when Fang Chonghua took the initiative to stand up and excitedly said, "Chief Fire, I am Ding Tai Real Estate's Fang Chonghua. I am currently discussing with your company about cooperation." Fang Chonghua was really excited. He had never met Fire Phoenix before, but her name was like thunder to his ears. This was because her name in the real estate industry was too resounding. She had a construction company under her. The company was not large, but its strength was strong. Especially in the area of demolition. Many of the difficult areas in ordinary balance were taken care of by her. Nowadays, there were two most difficult areas in the real estate industry. One of them was the land, and the other was the demolition. Many places in the country were boiling with resentment because of the demolition. Group incidents occurred frequently and many officials were implicated because of this. And Fire Phoenix's demolition company was one of the oddities in ordinary balance. They could quickly take care of those nail-biters. Moreover, they would not let them complain or ask for help. Many of the ordinary balance's real estate companies would ask her for help. Thus, her position was very special. Fang Chonghua was jealous of the real estate boom. He had also set up a real estate company and painstakingly took over the land. But now, he was stuck in the demolition process, causing his work to stop. Seeing the money flowing out, his heart ached. He was so anxious that he was on fire. He tried to find Fire Phoenix through his connections, but to no avail. This was because Fire Phoenix was very busy. Or it could be said that she had a lot of big clients. Thus, she did not want to see a small client like him. He never thought that he would actually meet Fire Phoenix. And this was all thanks to Tang Zheng. This made him have mixed feelings, but he was more happy because his problem could be solved. Fire Phoenix nodded and said, "Oh, so it's Chief Fang. Nice to meet you. If you had said earlier that you were Brother Hu's friend, then we would have cooperated a long time ago." Fire Phoenix's heart moved as she judged the other party's intention to find her. Naturally, since he was Lin Hu's friend, her attitude was a lot better. Fang Chonghua looked at Lin Hu with a complicated expression. He really could not guess what kind of person he was to have such a good relationship with Fire Phoenix. Fang Chonghua personally poured a cup of wine and said, "Chief Fire, I am fortunate to meet you today. Let me give you a toast. As for the matter of cooperation, I will go to your company tomorrow to discuss it with you." He held the wine cup and wanted to pass it to Fire Phoenix. Fire Phoenix did not accept it but looked at Lin Hu thoughtfully. From Lin Hu's attitude, she could see a lot of peculiarities. Lin Hu's attitude towards Fang Chonghua was cold, but he attached great importance to this young Master Tang. Fire Phoenix was a smart person, so how could she not understand the importance of this table? Thus, she smiled at Tang Zheng and said, "Young Master Tang, I wonder if I have the honor to drink with you?" What was called disparity? This was called disparity. Fang Chonghua took the initiative to propose a toast but Fire Phoenix ignored him. However, she took the initiative to drink with Tang Zheng and even said that it was her honor. The difference was like heaven and earth. Chapter 112. Fang Chonghua embarrassedly put down his wine cup and awkwardly looked at the crowd as he never thought that his face would be swept away like this. Shi Mengqin finally could not bear it any longer as she fiercely slapped the table and said, "Tang Zheng, what is the meaning of this?" Lin Hu's eyebrows immediately wrinkled as he coldly stared at Shi Mengqin. If not for Tang Zheng's gaze stopping him, he would have already flipped out. Fire Phoenix glanced at Fang Shishir as if deep in thought. Her eyebrows blossomed into a smile as she said, "Then you guys eat first, I'll be leaving first." She then nodded towards Tang Zheng and walked out. "Huzi, you go accompany Fire Phoenix," Tang Zheng calmly said. Lin Hu stared at Shi Mengqin and said, "Young Master Tang, then I'll be leaving first. Call me if you have any orders." The two left and the atmosphere in the private room became stifling. Shi Mengqin arrogantly looked at Tang Zheng and said, "Are you relying on your gang of scoundrels to intimidate others?" Tang Zheng's expression did not change as he lightly said, "I didn't do anything, why would you say such a thing? Look at those people's attitudes. Young Master Tang, they aren't even ashamed." Shi Mengqin really lost face today, and seeing Tang Zheng admit defeat, her imposing manner became even stronger. "Mom, you are making trouble without reason. Tang Zheng helped us resolve the problem yet you still criticize him. You are too unreasonable." Fang Shishir was so angry that her face turned red. "Shishir, I have raised you for so many years yet now you are siding with an outsider. I am just stating the facts and speaking reason. I see that you don't have me as your mother in your eyes. What is so good about this little brat that he is worthy of you protecting him so wholeheartedly? He is good and I like him." Fang Shishir raised her head and said resolutely. "You." Shi Mengqin was so angry that her entire body trembled. "Enough." Fang Chonghua slammed his hand on the table, causing the plates to jump up. His face was ashen as he angrily said, making such a ruckus, "Where are your manners?" Shi Mengqin was also shocked as she rarely saw him so angry. She hurriedly comforted him, "Chonghua, calm down. Don't lower yourself to this little brat's level." Fang Chonghua glared at her and said, "You're the one who made me angry. What was wrong with you just now? Why are you yelling at Tang Zheng?" Shi Mengqin was stupefied as she looked at her husband at a loss. She did not understand why her husband would say such a thing as she was clearly protecting his face. Shi Mengqin was just a full-time housewife who wholeheartedly wanted to transform herself into a noble lady. She didn't care about Fang Chonghua's career at all, so of course, she wasn't aware of the crisis he was currently facing. Although Fang Chonghua's attitude towards Fire Phoenix made her a little surprised, but she was already filled with anger, and seeing her husband being humiliated, she couldn't help but explode. "Chonghua, I'm helping you." "Help me?" I think you're the one who's harming me." Fang Chonghua unhappily said, unable to accomplish anything, but good at spoiling things. He originally thought that with his relationship with Tang Zheng, he would be able to form a relationship with Fire Phoenix, but this was completely destroyed by Shi Mengqin. Fang Chongguo looked at Tang Zheng, not knowing what to say. He had just treated Tang Zheng, so how could he speak up for him? Go home, don't make a fool of yourself outside. Shi Mengqin looked at her husband in alarm and then looked at Tang Zheng, her eyes flashing with hatred. Tang Zheng acted as if he didn't see it. Seeing Fang Shishi's dejected expression, he advised, Shishi, go home and rest first. Tomorrow is the monthly exam, so do your best. Fang Shishi hesitantly nodded her head. The few of them went to the counter and prepared to pay the bill, but they were told that the bill had already been paid by a Mr. Lin. Fang Chongguo's expression was complicated as he looked at Tang Zheng, and the family disappeared into the night. Tang Zheng shook his head, as tonight's series of unforeseen events were out of his expectations. He didn't know what the other party would think of him, but this wasn't his main concern. In any case, he didn't have a good impression of them. Young Master Tang. Someone called out from behind him. Huazi, is something the matter? Brother who invites you over. Huazi respectfully invited. Tang Zheng nodded his head, indicating for him to lead the way. The two of them arrived at a private room, where Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix were sitting. Young Master Tang, I'm sorry for disturbing your meal. Fire Phoenix said apologetically. Tang Zheng sat down, shook his head and said, this has nothing to do with you. They have long been dissatisfied with me. Young Master Tang is such an outstanding youth. If they aren't satisfied, then they really don't have good eyesight. Fire Phoenix stared at Tang Zheng. Just now she had already asked Lin Hu about Tang Zheng's identity, but Lin Hu kept it a secret, which made her even more curious. You flatter me. I'm just a high school student, not some outstanding youth. Tang Zheng spoke the truth. He never bragged about his identity. High school student? Fire Phoenix's eyes widened in astonishment. She coquettishly glared at Lin Hu and said, brother who didn't reveal your situation at all. You really want to hide an outstanding youth like young Master Tang from me? You're too mean. Lin Hu hurriedly explained, Fire Phoenix, you can't blame me for this. Young Master Tang's matters are best left to him. I don't dare to speak carelessly. Oh, then I'm all ears. Young Master Tang, you don't mind talking about your great achievements to broaden my horizons. Fire Phoenix's aura was very strong, but this series of words made her seem approachable. There was a strong sense of intimacy. I don't have any great achievements. If you really want to talk about something that surpasses others, then it's my academic results that are a bit special. Tang Zheng said with a smile. Academic results? Fire Phoenix snorted and laughed even more happily. This is the first time I've heard someone praise themselves like this. Then young Master Tang must be very powerful? Tang Zheng shook his head and said with a deadpan expression, right now I'm the last in the school. Last. Fire Phoenix's laughter came to an abrupt stop. She was dumbstruck. Young Master Tang is really humorous. Interesting. But I'm very curious about young Master Tang and Brother Hu's relationship. Fire Phoenix had been invited to participate in Lin Hu's dinner party. It could be considered as her understanding of his strength. After all, this time Lin Hu's victory was too unimaginable. She had no choice but to pay attention to it. This time she discovered that Tang Zheng and Lin Hu's relationship was not shallow. Her intuition told her that Tang Zheng was related to Lin Hu's rise. She could not explain the reason, but it was a feeling that she had cultivated for many years. Brother Hu and I are good brothers. Tang Zheng said. Oh, I've never heard of you before. I wonder which family young Master Tang is from. I'll pay a visit some other day. Tang Zheng shook his head, that won't be necessary. My house is just a rundown house. It can't accommodate a great god like you. Young Master Tang really likes to joke. The more Fire Phoenix listened, the more confused she became. She thought that the other party was unwilling to say, so she did not continue to ask. She changed the topic and said, just now I wanted to drink with young Master Tang but was not able to. Now I want to drink to my heart's content. Tang Zheng did not refuse. Lin, who had already filled 3 cups of wine, and said, "Come, the 3 of us will drink a cup first." The 3 people drank in one gulp. Fire Phoenix immediately launched an attack. She continuously drank with Tang Zheng. Not long after, the bottle of wine was emptied. Lin, who saw this and quickly advised, "Fire Phoenix, who doesn't know that you won't get drunk even after 1,000 cups? Are you trying to get young Master Tang drunk?" "Hee, I see that young Master Tang's alcohol tolerance is not bad. When drinking with a close friend, 1,000 cups is not enough. It's been a long time since I drank to my heart's content. Today we must not leave until we are drunk. Young Master Tang, what do you say?" Fire Phoenix's alcohol tolerance was very good. She wanted to get Tang Jing drunk and then get some information from him. "Fire Phoenix, I'll drink with you." Lin, who pulled up his sleeves and boldly said, "Brother Hu, I have drunk with you many times before. This time I don't want to drink with you. This time I want to drink with a handsome guy like young Master Tang. You go to the side." Lin, who looked at Tang Zheng inquiringly. It was clear that he was asking about his alcohol tolerance. Tang Zheng rarely drank, but he could use his qi to dissolve the alcohol, so he was not afraid. Moreover, Fire Phoenix gave him a very good impression. In order to cooperate with her to deal with Hoodlum, he had to drink this wine. "Good, then I will risk my life to accompany you. We will not leave until we are drunk," Tang Zheng boldly said. The 2 people drank cup after cup of wine. Tang Zheng's expression did not change, but Fire Phoenix's face gradually changed. It was bright red like a ripe apple. Lin, who looked at the 2 people drinking with interest. He gradually saw the knack of it. Tang Zheng's drinking was like drinking water. Moreover, the more he drank, the brighter his eyes became. This was very frightening. Lin, who had never seen a person who could drink 1,000 cups without getting drunk, but Tang Zheng clearly had this tendency. Fire Phoenix held the cup of wine and could not drink anymore. Her stomach was overturning and many things wanted to rush out. She knew that she had reached her limit. She had not drunk like this for many years, but seeing Tang Zheng as if nothing had happened, she was both shocked and frightened. There was no one who could drink 1,000 cups without getting drunk. After drinking a few jeans of wine, the effect of the alcohol had far exceeded the limit of what the human body could bear. But Tang Zheng was completely unaffected. This showed that he was using his internal energy to dissolve the alcohol. This was not a secret for martial artists. Fire Phoenix was also doing this, but after all, there was a time when one's internal energy was exhausted. So after drinking so much, her internal energy was no longer of any use. She was almost drunk. From this point, it showed that Tang Zheng's internal energy was much higher than hers. Fire Phoenix suddenly realized why Lin, who was so respectful to him, just who was the one who taught this youth to have such profound internal energy in his teens. Fire Phoenix was a 3rd-grade refining body. This showed that Tang Zheng was at least a 4th-grade refining body. This was even more powerful than Huang Xiang in the past. Fire Phoenix did not dare to continue thinking because her thoughts were gradually becoming chaotic. She could not drink anymore, or else she would be making a fool of herself. Young Master Tang is good. I, Fire Phoenix, humbly admit defeat. Fire Phoenix gave a thumbs up and praised. Tang Zheng smiled and put down the cup. He had his internal energy to dissolve the alcohol, which was much more powerful than a martial artist's internal energy. He really could drink 1,000 cups without getting drunk. It was just that his stomach was a little uncomfortable. After eating and drinking, Brother Hu, now we can talk about the purpose of your invitation. Fire Phoenix let out a long breath and used her internal energy to suppress the effects of the alcohol. She maintained the last trace of clarity in her mind and lightly said. Chapter 113. Fire Phoenix said this in front of Tang Zheng because she wanted to test the relationship between Tang Zheng and Lin Hu. She guessed that Lin Hu must have something important to say to her. It probably had something to do with his future plans. If this matter did not allow Tang Jing to avoid suspicion, then it could explain a lot of problems. Translator, Atlas Studios editor, Atlas Studios. Who would have thought that Tang Jing would take the initiative to stand up and cup his hands and say, "Then you can continue talking, I'll go home first." Fire Phoenix looked at him with astonishment. Young Master Tang won't stay for a while longer? It's already late, I want to go home. Tang Jing tactfully declined. Young Master Tang, I'll send you off. Lin Hu stood up and walked out with Tang Jing. At the entrance of the restaurant, Lin Hu suspiciously asked, "Young Master Tang, you don't seem to want her to know about our relationship?" Tang Jing nodded. "I'm currently a student, so it's not good for me to have too much contact with her. Moreover, I've already said very clearly that you can handle matters in the underworld by yourself. Only when needed will I make a move." "I understand. I see that Fire Phoenix is very sincere, so this cooperation should be quite pleasant." Lin Hu speculated. "Then I'll work hard." Tang Jing waved his hand and walked home. Lin Hu looked at his back and thought for a while before turning around and returning to the private room. "Fire Phoenix, I won't beat around the bush. This time I've taken over Boss Fan's territory and will definitely attract Hoodlum's attention. You know that I'm not Hoodlum's opponent, so I want to ask for your help." "Oh, you want to ally with me to go against Hoodlum?" Fire Phoenix raised her almond-shaped eyes with a smile that was not a smile. "Yes. Behind Hoodlum is Master Huang, aren't you afraid?" Fire Phoenix asked. "Afraid? Why wouldn't I be? What's the use of being afraid? Do you think Huang Si will just watch as I grow stronger and do nothing? Since he will deal with me sooner or later, I might as well prepare a countermeasure." Lin Hu revealed a fierce expression as he resolutely said, "You actually dare to call Grandpa Huang by his nickname? You've changed a lot recently, I almost couldn't recognize you." Fire Phoenix said with a hint of ridicule. In the past, Lin Hu was content with his own territory and did not have much fighting spirit. Now that he dared to go against Huang Si, Fire Phoenix had a whole new level of respect for him. It's impossible for a person to remain unchanged. Otherwise, he would be eliminated by the times. You've even become a philosopher, saying such philosophical words. Lin Hu ignored her teasing and continued, "I know that this matter is risky, but risk and opportunity coexist. As long as we take down Hoodlum, we can split his territory equally." "Hee, you make it sound so simple. Do you think Grandpa Huang is so easy to deal with? Where are you going to find an expert who can contend with him?" This was one of the problems in the ordinary balance underworld. Everyone wanted to be big and strong, but they could not avoid Huang Si. Although he had already retreated behind the scenes, as long as his benefits were harmed, he would definitely deal a heavy blow. "You don't need to worry about this problem. Naturally, there will be someone who will step forward." Lin Hu was full of confidence. Since Tang Jing dared to challenge the Huang clan and even made Huang Xiang suffer a loss, this showed that the power behind him was not to be underestimated. Fire Phoenix's smile disappeared as she solemnly looked at Lin Hu as if she did not recognize him. "Who will step forward?" "This is a secret for now." "Since it's a secret, then there's nothing to talk about." "Don't worry, I won't tell Grandpa Huang, but your matter has nothing to do with me. When the time comes, just don't bite me." Fire Phoenix directly walked towards the door. Lin Hu's expression slightly changed as he said, "Fire Phoenix, don't tell me you don't want to take revenge for your husband?" Fire Phoenix suddenly stopped and turned around to stare at him. Her eyebrows were filled with killing intent. "Lin Hu, what do you mean? I don't believe that you have never suspected your husband's death. At that time he was like the sun in the sky and could even threaten Huang Si. Could it be that his death was really that simple?" Lin Hu did not care about her anger as he spoke to himself. Fire Phoenix's expression fluctuated, but she did not say a word. Lin Hu's heart moved as he knew that he had guessed correctly. She was definitely still suspicious of Huang Si, but she did not have any evidence. He decided to add fuel to the fire and said, "After your husband died, Huang Si quickly grew stronger, which is why he is where he is today. That is why he is the one who benefited the most. This is something that anyone with eyes can see. If you want revenge, then this time we will topple Hoodlum and cut off one of Huang Xi's hands. In the future we will get rid of Huang Xi and truly take revenge for your husband. You want to convince me with this? That's too simple. Wait until you are willing to tell me your trump card, then come find me. Fire Phoenix slammed the door and left. Lin, whose expression fluctuated as he did not think that he would not be able to convince her. It seems that she was even more cautious than he thought. His trump card was Tang Zheng, but Tang Zheng did not want to reveal his identity. This made him very helpless as he fell into a deadlock. In the following 2 days, Tang Zheng continued to cultivate at home in order to avoid the monthly exam. His qi had increased by quite a bit. What he needed the most now was to refine the spirit pill, but there was still no news from Yi Xuanji. However, he was not worried because Yi Xuanji would definitely take the bait. As expected, Yi Tianlei personally drove the car to bring him to the Ye family. The way Yi Tianlei looked at Tang Zheng was different from before. It was as if he was lamenting that he had misjudged him before. Tang Zheng was far more powerful than he had imagined. It was also as if he was rejoicing that Tang Zheng had finally given him the conditions and prevented this matter from developing in the worst direction. Of course, Yi Tianlei was also very clear that this matter was related to his wife and daughter. After all, this transaction also involved Yi Dingdang's benefits. Tang Zheng, thank you. Suddenly, Yi Tianlei said in a serious tone. Tang Zheng looked at him and said, "This is a transaction. It's very fair, there is no need to thank me." Yi Tianlei shook his head, "I'm not talking about this. It's because you let Dingdang get rid of her shackles." Of course it was the shackles of the marriage contract. Yi Tianlei clearly remembered how angry Yi Xuanji was when he found out about Tang Zheng's conditions. He did not care about the 300-year-old ginseng, but because his family was involved and used this condition to threaten him. He had always had absolute control over his family, but the ordinary balance Ye family was not under his control for a long time and had already undergone subtle changes. He could no longer control this Ye family. But he had nowhere to vent his anger, so he could only swallow it. It's nothing. Moreover, this will make him very angry. I just don't want to see him happy. Tang Zheng said somewhat gloatingly. Yi Tianlei shook his head and smiled bitterly. This kid had a worse temper than he did in the past. He did not dare to treat the old man like this. In fact, although the old man's methods were indeed inappropriate, it was also for the benefit of the Ye family. Yi Tianlei explained. He did not want the conflict between the two sides to intensify. Tang Zheng waved his hand, indicating that he should stop talking. For me, the happiness of my family is more important than the illusory benefits of the family. I only know that he did not fulfill his responsibility as a grandfather, and that alone is enough. Yi Tianlei did not explain anymore. They were silent all the way to the Ye family manor. Yi Xuanji and the King of Medicine sat in the hall and whispered to each other. In front of them was a huge box. Yi Xuanji raised his head and glanced at Tang Zheng, then looked straight ahead. He did not look at him anymore, as if he did not want to see him. Of course, he did not want to see Tang Zheng. Although he had achieved his goal in the ordinary balance trip, he almost died of anger. It left a strong impression on him. Yi Dingdang walked down from the second floor. She smiled and winked at Tang Zheng, "You're here." Today was the monthly break after the monthly exam, so she did not go to school. Tang Zheng nodded. Before he could say anything, Yi Xuanji pushed the box in front of him and said, 300-year-old ginseng. Tang Zheng walked over and opened it. A ginseng that looked like a miniature version of a human was lying there quietly. Even its facial features had the appearance of a human. Is this 300-year-old ginseng? Tang Zheng asked Tian Chanzi. He could not tell, but Tian Chanzi could. Yes, this has already taken shape. In fact, it already has a bit of spirituality. If it cultivates for a few hundred years, it will be able to transform into a human. Could it be that ginseng can really become a spirit? Tang Zheng was very surprised. Tian Chanzi said with disdain, of course, many things in the world can become spirits. Ginseng contains the spirituality of the world, so it is easier for it to become a spirit. However, ginseng does not have much self-protection ability. After becoming a spirit, it is easy to be caught and used as a material for others to refine pills. That's quite pitiful. Tang Zheng sighed. What's so pitiful about it? Treasures of heaven and earth, this is their fate. Tang Zheng closed the box and took out the bottle from his pocket and placed it on the table. Yi Xuanji's eyes were immediately attracted to the bottle. He firmly grasped it in his hand and let out a sigh of relief. He looked up at Tang Zheng and expressionlessly said, "Why don't you check this ginseng? What if it is not 300-year-old? I have already checked it. To be exact, it is 310-year. Tang Zheng lightly said. Yi Xuanji revealed a suspicious expression. He only knew that this was indeed 300-year-old ginseng, but he did not know how old it was. This thing was not as easy to find as gold and silver. He spent a lot of effort and a lot of money to find it. The king of medicine could not help but raise his eyebrows and asked, "Tang Zheng, how do you know this is 310-year ginseng?" "I can tell." Tang Zheng was still as calm as ever. There was a kind of steadiness and calmness that was completely inconsistent with his youth. The king of medicine smacked his lips and said, "In the past, my teacher also taught me a method to determine the age of ginseng, but it was not as accurate as yours. I could only tell that it was between 350-year-old. I never thought that you would be able to determine its exact age with just a glance." Tang Zheng curled his lips. "This was what Tian Chanzi told me, so of course I can determine it. This method of identification must have been taught to you by your teacher, right?" The king of medicine somewhat enviously asked. "Yes." Tang Zheng continued to push the responsibility to his non-existent teacher. "Can you say it for me to see?" "Don't worry, I will exchange it with other things." "Tian Chanzi, how did you determine it?" Tang Zheng could not help but be curious. "It is to sense the spirit of the ginseng. When your cultivation is high enough, you will naturally be able to do it. This old guy is not good," Tian Chanzi said. "Senior king of medicine, this method is not suitable for you," Tang Zheng honestly said. The king of medicine regretfully shook his head and did not speak. Chapter 114. Yi Xuanji didn't care about how to identify the age of the ginseng and went straight to the point. "Tang Zheng, how do I use this life-continuing pill?" "Just take it orally." Seeing his impatient appearance, Tang Zheng said. "Is there anything else I need to take note of?" The king of medicine heard this and his attention was drawn over. "There's no use, maybe you'll sleep for a while," Tang Zheng said. "Maybe?" The king of medicine and Yi Xuanji said at the same time, extremely surprised. How come he still didn't know the specifics? "Right, there's no side effects anyways, just take it, why ask so many questions?" Tang Zheng was impatient. His attention was all on the ginseng and he couldn't wait to take it back and start refining it. Medicine can't be taken carelessly. If you don't clearly tell me how to take it, how would I dare to take it? Moreover, there's only one pill. If I don't take it properly, wouldn't it be wasted? Yi Xuanji said unhappily. This was a life-saving pill and there was only one of it, so he couldn't help but be careful. "I said just take it directly. If you don't believe me, then pretend I didn't say anything." Tang Zheng was too lazy to waste his breath on him. The king of medicine remembered that Mu Hongyan mentioned Nana's treatment process. He understood and said, "Old friend Xuanji, just listen to Tang Zheng and take it directly." Seeing that the king of medicine was very confident, Yi Xuanji's heart finally fell to the ground and said, "Then I'll go back to my room." "I'll go with you." The king of medicine also wanted to see the miraculous effects of the life-continuing pill. Remember the other condition. Ding Dang and Song Yu's engagement is cancelled. Tang Zheng saw that the other was so happy that he forgot himself and solemnly reminded him. "Got it." Yi Xuanji didn't even turn his head and coldly snorted and went back to his room. Tang Zheng picked up the box and left. Yi Dingdang chased after him and sincerely thanked him. She watched as Tang Zheng's car disappeared from her sight. At this moment, the shackles on her body were completely broken. She felt as free and relaxed as a swallow. When Tang Zheng returned home, he impatiently closed the door and took out the 9 revolving pill furnace from under his bed. The outer walls of the furnace were still blue, but this time it was spotless. The 9 revolving pill furnace is a magic treasure. As long as its spirituality is awakened, how could it be contaminated with dust? Tian Chanzi explained. Tang Zheng suddenly realized that it was indeed a treasure. He didn't even need to clean it. He then took out a large bag of medicinal ingredients. These were all bought from the pharmacy and cost him 200,000, which was more than the last time he refined the life-continuing pill. Because the spirit-gathering pill was a pill that required long-term consumption, he had to refine more of it, which was why he had bought so many raw materials. However, he didn't pour all of it into the furnace at once. This was his first time using the 9 revolving pill furnace and he wasn't sure of the specifics, so he decided to test it out first. He revolved his internal energy, and a light purple flame jumped from his fingertips. He only saw a light point, and the flame flew into the 9 revolving pill furnace. The purple light immediately illuminated the inner walls of the furnace, giving it a mysterious feeling. He then placed a bag of medicinal ingredients into the pill furnace. The flames immediately enveloped the medicinal ingredients. In almost an instant, all the medicinal ingredients turned into liquid spheres. They were sparkling and translucent as they floated within the pill furnace. Traces of gas rose from the spheres. These gases are impurities. The 9 revolving pill furnace will automatically remove them. Tian Chanzi explained. A magic treasure and a first-grade true fire refining pill, it was really different from the last time Tang Zheng refined the life-continuing pill. It was much more professional, and much more advanced. Tang Zheng stared at the sphere, and found that it was getting smaller and smaller. This was because the medicinal properties were condensing and condensing. He carefully opened the box, took out the ginseng, and prepared to cut a part of it with a knife, and throw it into the furnace at the right time. "Don't kill me, I beg you, don't kill me." Suddenly, a faint voice sounded, and Tang Zheng stopped in surprise, looking around. "Tian Chanzi, did you hear someone talking?" "Talking? Who is talking? There are only the 2 of us here, who else is talking?" Tian Chanzi was baffled. Tang Zheng scratched his head. Could it be that he was hallucinating? He was just about to cut the ginseng when the voice sounded again, and this time it was even clearer. He dared to conclude that it was not a hallucination. "I beg you, don't kill me." This pleading voice was very faint, as if a person was speaking weakly, making people feel pity. "Who are you?" Tang Zheng asked in a frightened voice. Could it be that he saw a ghost? He was clearly the only person in this room. "Little brat, are you crazy? What kind of messy voice is this?" Tian Chanzi suspiciously said. "Shoo, quiet, listen, there really is a voice, she is still saying, 'Who are you? Quickly speak, otherwise I will not be polite.'" Tang Zheng clenched the fruit knife in his hand. "I am in your hand," the voice weakly said. "In my hand." Tang Zheng looked down. In his right hand was a fruit knife, in his left hand was a ginseng. It should not be a fruit knife. His eyes could not help but be attracted by the ginseng. Could it be that this ginseng has become a spirit? Didn't Tian Chanzi say that a 300-year-old ginseng has not become a spirit? "Are you a ginseng?" Tang Zheng asked tentatively. "That's me." "What?" Tang Zheng opened his eyes wide. This ginseng has really become a spirit. Tian Chanzi also noticed the strangeness, and hurriedly asked, "Little brat, what is going on? Are you talking to this ginseng?" "Yes, this ginseng has become a spirit. Didn't you say that it is impossible for a 300-year-old ginseng to become a spirit?" Tang Zheng asked in a bad mood. This Tian Chanzi boasted so much. How could he drop the ball at such a crucial moment? "Impossible. How can a 300-year-old ginseng become a spirit? I have seen many 300-year-old ginseng before, but I have never seen or heard of such a situation." Tian Chanzi flatly denied. "Hey, ginseng, then speak a bit louder, let this old man also hear. Woo, don't kill me, don't kill me. The voice became clearer, it was a girl's voice, and she was crying. Ginseng even knows how to cry. Tang Jing felt that if he told others about it, they would think he was crazy, but now it was really crying, and crying very sadly. It gave people a kind of heart-wrenching feeling. Did you hear it? Tang Jing asked. I heard it. Tian Chanzi was silent for a moment, and then said in disbelief, what the hell, a 300-year-old ginseng really became a spirit, how is that possible? Don't talk about whether it is possible, what should we do now is the most urgent matter. Tang Jing urged, this was the first time he faced such a difficult problem. Throw it into the alchemy furnace, do you still need me to teach you this? But it has already become a spirit. Tian Chanzi indifferently said, so what if it has become a spirit? A spirit can also be used in alchemy, and the effects are even better. Didn't I tell you, even those 600-700-year-old ginseng that took human form were caught and refined into alchemy pills, this one of yours only has a little bit of spirituality. Tang Jing swallowed a mouthful of saliva, it had taken human form and was still being pulled into alchemy, it sounded like a living person was being thrown into an alchemy furnace, just thinking about it made him feel cold all over. It's almost time to add the catalyst, are you still going to refine it or not? Tian Chanzi urged. Tang Jing was distraught, he was unable to decide what to do, he did not have the mental fortitude of Tian Chanzi, listening to the pitiful begging voice that lingered in his ears, he really could not do it. There is no other way, there is no other way. Don't tell me you don't want the spirit gathering pill? Of course I want it, I mean the middle way, we can both refine the spirit gathering pill and protect this ginseng. Really troublesome. Tian Chanzi impatiently muttered, he thought for a moment, then said, it's not that there is no other way, you can cut off its roots and put them into the alchemy furnace, this can also refine a portion of the spirit gathering pill, but the effects will be reduced a bit. If I cut off those roots, it won't die, right? Die my ass, how could it die so easily? Life contains the essence of the world, unless you throw its entire body into the alchemy furnace, it won't die. Hurry up, don't dawdle, otherwise the crucial moment will pass. Alright, then I'll listen to you this time, oh ginseng, don't cry, I won't kill you, I'll just cut off a bit of your roots. Tang Jing softly comforted. The crying actually came to an abrupt stop. Tang Jing thought it was really amazing, he calmed his mind and carefully cut off the roots, the cut was actually dark red like blood, just like human flesh. Tang Jing was shocked. Tian Chanzi calmly said, since it has already become a spirit, then it's just like a human, what's there to be surprised about, hurry up. Tang Jing calmed his mind, quickly cut off the roots, and threw them into the 9 revolving alchemy furnace. The flames immediately wrapped around the roots, turning them into a liquid golden color. This golden color immediately drilled into the sphere, causing it to shrink once again. The flames suddenly increased, as if they were about to soar into the air, illuminating the inside of the alchemy furnace, causing it to emit a blue light. Wang! The 9 revolving alchemy furnace let out a cry, causing the birds and beasts on the outside to move as if they were alive, causing Tang Jing to be dumbstruck. Whoosh! The 9 revolving alchemy furnace moved, rapidly rotating. Before long, only a blue shadow could be seen. Alright, let's wait for the 9 revolving alchemy furnace to refine by itself, then we'll see the results in 2 hours. Tian Chanzi said. There shouldn't be any problems. This was the first time Tang Jing had used a treasure, so he couldn't help but feel a little nervous. Relax, the 9 revolving alchemy furnace is many times better than the broken furnace you used last time. Since it was successful last time, then there shouldn't be any problems this time. Tian Chanzi said confidently. Tang Jing then turned his attention to the ginseng, discovering that the red color at the end where he cut off the roots had disappeared, becoming the same color as the rest of the ginseng. Why did it change? It has already become a spirit, so the wounds will naturally heal. What's so surprising about this? Tang Jing said that so it was like this, but he didn't know what to do with this spirit ginseng. This time, he had cut off most of its roots, but could it be that he would cut off other parts the next time he refined pills? Tang Zheng couldn't bear to do it. What should I do now? Tang Zheng could only ask Tian Chanzi for advice. You really don't want to refine it? Tang Zheng seriously pondered for a moment, then shook his head. I don't want to, but it would be best if I could refine pills while also preserving its life. You really are overflowing with love, then let me think of a way to get the best of both worlds. Chapter 115. Tian Chanzi really thought of a way to get the best of both worlds, which was to let the ginseng grow and maintain its life. When it was time to refine the spirit-gathering pill, he could cut off its roots. This way, he could maintain a long-term supply. Tang Zheng's eyes lit up as he said, why didn't you say this method earlier? If I refined it in one go, where would I find 300-year-old ginseng in the future? So this method is the best. Tian Chanzi was stunned for a moment. He couldn't help but admit that Tang Zheng was right, he had actually overlooked this problem. Hang, you little brat, you just stumbled upon it. Right now, we should first figure out what is going on with this ginseng. I still don't believe that 300 years old ginseng can become a spirit. Something must have happened. Tian Chanzi said. Tang Zheng curled his lips, seeing is believing, this isn't fake, right? Tian Chanzi ignored Tang Zheng and fiercely asked, little ginseng, hurry up and tell me why you became a spirit. If you don't tell me, I will throw you into the 9 revolving pill furnace. Woo woo woo. The ginseng was frightened by the sound of crying. Tang Zheng laughed loudly, Tian Chanzi, you are an expert. Look, you scared the ginseng into crying. Tian Chanzi resentfully said, this little ginseng's courage is too small, but if you don't be a bit fierce, how could it tell the truth? TSK, when asking questions, you have to be polite and gentle, understand? Let me give it a try. Tang Zheng deliberately attacked Tian Chanzi. Now, he was not afraid of Tian Chanzi. Instead, he would sometimes tease him. The atmosphere was quite good. Ginseng, don't cry. I am not a bad person. Didn't you hear me? I won't refine you anymore. I will raise you and let you live well. Tang Zheng gently said, as if he was a strange uncle trying to trick a little girl. The crying suddenly stopped and a timid voice choked with sobs asked, really? Of course it's true. Tang Zheng patted his chest and guaranteed. But Grandpa said that many humans are very cruel. If they catch us, they will eat us. Grandpa was caught by humans. Ginseng was still in disbelief. There are also good and bad people. Those are all bad people. I'm a good person. I won't eat you, Tang Zheng said shamelessly. He had clearly wanted to refine it just now. Good man. The ginseng muttered these 2 words softly, as if trying to understand the meaning. She said, Grandpa seemed to have said that there are good people. Just like us ginseng, there are bad ginseng who steal other ginseng's spiritual energy. Grandpa said that they are bad ginseng. Bad ginseng. Tang Zheng laughed involuntarily. There was such a saying. Little brat, don't laugh, this little ginseng isn't wrong. Ginseng is a race, and there are good and bad ones. Some of them absorb the spiritual power of other ginseng to speed up their own cultivation, but this can only be done by a ginseng that can transform into a human form. Tian Chanzi said, not finding it strange. Tang Zheng couldn't help but sigh. It seems that ginseng's world is also very complicated. Not only are there external problems, there are also internal problems. Little ginseng, you still haven't answered me. You are only 300 years old, how did you become a spirit? Tian Chanzi asked, unwilling to give up. The ginseng timidly said, this is all because of Grandpa. Before he was caught by humans, he passed on his life's spiritual energy to me. That's why I gained spiritual intelligence. Tian Chanzi suddenly realized, so that's the reason. I said that under normal circumstances, a 300-year-old ginseng can't become a spirit. But even so, it can be seen that your grandpa's cultivation is very high. Otherwise, even if a normal ginseng passed on its spiritual energy to another ginseng, it still wouldn't be able to gain spiritual intelligence. The ginseng could hear that Tianqianzi was praising its grandpa. It proudly said, "My grandpa is the most powerful. Grandpa told me to hide, but I was still caught. All right, now that you have met me, you will be fine. Under my protection, you will be able to grow strong." Tang Zheng had never raised a ginseng before. Moreover, it was a 300-year-old ginseng. Just thinking about it made him a little excited. The ginseng hesitated for a moment and said, "Thank you, Master. In the future, with Master protecting Linger, Linger won't be afraid." "Master? Why are you calling me Master?" Tang Zheng was shocked. Master doesn't eat Linger and is even willing to protect Linger. Linger is of course willing to recognize you as Master. Tang Zheng was baffled. He hurriedly asked Tianqianzi, "What's going on?" After these spiritual beings become spirits, they do not have the ability to protect themselves. If they do not find a master who can protect them, then they will end up dying. This little ginseng is quite smart. It seems like its grandpa has also increased its intelligence by quite a bit. Since it has recognized you as its master, then just accept it. This is not a big deal, so why make a fuss about it? Tianqianzi said. Tang Zheng took a long time to recover. He had actually become the master. He stared blankly at the ginseng and asked, "You are called Linger?" "Yes, this is the name that Grandpa gave me. Grandpa said that I have grown up and needed a name, so he gave me this name. Linger really likes it." Linger's voice was clear and crisp. It was indeed very likable. "All right, since you have recognized me as your master, then I will protect you in the future. But let me say this first. In the future, I will still need to refine spirit gathering pills. I will also need your roots. You won't mind, right?" Tang Zheng asked a little embarrassedly. The ginseng had already recognized him as its master, but he still had to use a knife to cut it. It was a little cruel. Unexpectedly, Linger said indifferently, "It's just a few roots. Master can use them as he pleases." Moreover, since Linger has recognized Master, then no matter how Master treats Linger, Linger will not have any complaints. "Who?" Tang Zheng let out a sigh of relief. It was good that she did not have any complaints. Tianqianzi looked at him with disdain and said, "Look at your useless appearance. It's just a little ginseng. Is there a need to be like this? Even when I subdued my flame dragon beast, I was not like you." "Flame dragon beast?" Tang Zheng opened his eyes wide with interest. This was the first time he had heard of this kind of beast. It's a type of demonic beast. Who knows how many times stronger than a little ginseng like you. It can swallow you in one bite. Then where did your flame dragon beast go?" Tianqianzi said sadly, "It died. It died trying to save me." Seeing that he had touched on his sore spot, although Tang Zheng was very curious about how strong a demonic beast the flame dragon beast was, he quickly changed the topic. "How do you raise this ginseng?" "It's simple. Find a large flower pot and plant it in it. Keep it in a cool environment. At night, it will automatically absorb the spiritual energy from the moonlight. This way, it can grow. It's that simple." Tang Zheng was shocked. Wasn't ginseng a very precious treasure? How could it be so easy to raise? It was even simpler than flowers and plants. That's an ordinary ginseng. This little ginseng has spiritual intelligence, so it's not an ordinary ginseng. The most important thing for it is to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Everything else is not important. Then I'll quickly find a flower pot and plant it." Tang Zheng said. "Don't be in such a hurry. I haven't finished speaking. Do you want to raise ginseng in this shabby house?" "So what if it's a shabby house? This is my home." Tang Zheng said snappily. "I don't mean to make fun of you. It's just that the environment here is not suitable for ginseng. You see, your house doesn't even have a big window. Where can the moonlight shine? So you have to change your house." "Change my house?" Tang Zheng had lived here for 18 years and never felt that there was any problem. So even if he had a few 100,000 yuan, he had never thought of changing his house. However, Tian Chanzi reminded him that now that he had a few 100,000 yuan, he did not need his grandfather to pick up junk every day. His grandfather was old and worked too hard. Now he should be enjoying life. This is an urgent matter. Moreover, your house has a treasure like the 9 revolving alchemy furnace. Aren't you afraid of being robbed? Tian Chanzi reminded. Robbed? Tang Zheng looked around. It really could be considered a house with 4 bare walls. He could not help but laugh. Do you think there will be a stupid thief who will visit my house? Tian Chanzi was speechless. Indeed, there was no stupid thief who would visit this place. It's better to be safe than sorry. Haven't you heard of the phrase, prepare for a rainy day? Moreover, if you lose these 2 treasures, you won't even have a place to cry. I forgot one thing. The little ginseng reminded me. It seems that I haven't done this for so many years that I almost forgot. Since you have these 2 treasures, you should go through the master recognition ceremony. Didn't the Linger already recognize me as its master? Tang Zheng said, puzzled. That is only a verbal acknowledgement. There is still a ceremony. You have to cut your finger and drip a drop of blood on the little ginseng. That is the true master recognition ceremony. Later on, there will be a connection between the 2 of you. Even if it is stolen, you can use this connection to find it. Tang Zheng was overjoyed. There was such a good thing. If there was no Tian Chanzi, then even if he had these treasures, he would be at a loss. After you drip a drop of blood on it, it will not betray you. It will be your servant for life. In addition, when you drip a drop of blood, recite this incantation and it will naturally succeed. There is an incantation. Of course. Otherwise, do you think that if a mortal accidentally drips a drop of blood on these treasures, they will recognize him as their master? How can there be such a good thing? Tang Zheng carefully thought about it. It was true. These treasures had been passed around for so many years. If one was not careful, then wouldn't it be possible for them to be stained with blood? Tang Zheng used a fruit knife to cut his finger. Dark red blood flowed out. At the same time, he recited an incantation. The qi in his body poured into the drop of blood. The drop of blood fell on top of the ginseng. It was as if the blood had come alive. It quickly spread on the surface of the ginseng and seeped into the insides. It completely disappeared without a trace, as if it had never appeared. Tang Zheng's eyes widened as he looked at this scene in amazement. Master, thank you. Linger's voice sounded in his mind. In the future, when you communicate with it, you don't need to speak. Just like with me, you can think directly in your mind. It will naturally respond. Tian Chanzi said. Tang Zheng nodded. This was a lot more convenient. I still need to drip a drop of blood on the 9 revolving pill furnace to recognize it as its master. Of course. Tang Zheng turned his gaze to the 9 revolving pill furnace. The furnace's rotation had already slowed down. The refining of the spirit pills was about to be completed. He became excited. How many spirit pills would he be able to refine this time? Chapter 116. When the time came, the 9 revolving alchemy furnace stopped rotating and a fragrant smell slowly rose from the furnace, making one feel relaxed and happy. Sogu, 360, So-So search. Many golden pills were quietly lying at the bottom of the 9 revolving alchemy furnace. These were obviously spirit-gathering pills. The refining was a success. Tang Zheng quickly took out a bottle to collect them. 1, 2, 3, 20 pills. Tang Zheng filled 2 bottles and was pleasantly surprised. How did you refine so many pills this time? 20 pills should last for a long time. When he refined the life-continuing pill, he only refined 3 pills, but this time he refined 20 pills. Moreover, the raw materials did not seem to be much. Tian Chanzi said as a matter of fact, this is the benefit of a magic weapon. If you had used the 9 revolving alchemy furnace to refine the life-continuing pill, you wouldn't have only refined 3 pills. Tang Zheng was like a poor man who suddenly became rich overnight. He was a little excited as he carefully put away the bottles and prepared to drip his blood on the 9 revolving alchemy furnace to recognize it as its master. However, he discovered something strange. Tian Chanzi, did you notice that the 9 revolving alchemy furnace has become smaller? Tang Zheng suspiciously asked. Tian Chanzi muttered to himself for a moment before saying, "It is indeed so. This is because the furnace is automatically upgrading." 37th upgrading? Yes, didn't I tell you that the 9 revolving alchemy furnace can be restored to an earth-level magic weapon in the future? Every time you refine a pill, it will absorb part of the pill's spiritual nature and level up a little. Doesn't that mean that if I use it to refine pills, its level will slowly recover? Tang Zheng was pleasantly surprised. Of course. But it is only a yellow-level magic weapon. The road is still long, so take it slow. Tang Zheng touched the 9 revolving alchemy furnace and felt a cool sensation in his palm. You said that it is getting smaller and smaller. If it turns into the size of a fist, wouldn't it be easier to carry around? A high-level alchemy furnace can freely expand and contract. The space inside is beyond your imagination. I even heard that it can form a world of its own. Is it that exaggerated? Tang Zheng was extremely shocked. That's just a legend, but I've never heard of anyone's alchemy furnace forming a world of its own. That's something that can only be looked at but not touched. Brat, don't bite off more than you can chew. You'd better hurry up and bind it with your blood. Tang Zheng followed the previous procedure and dripped his blood onto the 9 revolving pill furnace. With a flash of azure light, he and the 9 revolving pill furnace had a mysterious connection. Even if he closed his eyes, he could still feel the existence of the 9 revolving alchemy furnace. However, the 9 revolving alchemy furnace did not speak like Linger. Now that the soul-amassing pill had been successfully concocted, Tang Zheng was finally able to settle one of his worries. He was not in a hurry to practice martial arts, but instead went to buy a house. This was something new. It was not as easy as practicing martial arts. When he casually walked into a bright and clean sales hall, he did not know what to do. However, his problem was immediately solved because the saleswoman took the initiative to welcome him. Tang Zheng began his journey of buying a house with excitement and novelty. However, there were some people who were not excited at all. In fact, they were quite nervous. Fang Chongguo was sitting outside an office, looking at the people coming and going. His expression was a bit absent-minded. He specifically came to visit Fire Phoenix. After experiencing that night, he hesitated for a few days but still came. Because there was no way to proceed with the demolition, the money was still pouring in. If this real estate project stopped, then he would go bankrupt. His funds were linked to one another. As long as there was a mistake, then he would lose everything. He could not afford to lose. Manager Fang, our manager Fire invites you in. Fang Chonghua stood up and quickly followed the secretary into the office. Fire Phoenix was standing in front of the huge floor-to-ceiling window, overlooking the building. Her eyebrows were slightly wrinkled. No one knew what she was thinking. Manager Fire, Manager Fang is here. The secretary said. Fire Phoenix turned around. This time, she was not dressed in martial arts clothes. Instead, she had changed into a sand-colored business suit, giving off a white-collar aura. Fang Chonghua already had a new understanding of Fire Phoenix. These past few days, he specifically inquired about Fire Phoenix and Lin Hu's background. If he didn't inquire, then he wouldn't know. Once he inquired, he was shocked. These two people turned out to be ordinary balance, famous big shots in the underworld. This was really beyond his expectation. What made him even more surprised was that Tang Zheng and these big shots actually had such a close personal relationship. This made him both shocked and frightened. In short, his perception of Tang Zheng had undergone an earth-shattering change. Therefore, these past few days, he did not deliberately prevent his daughter from contacting Tang Zheng. Fang Chonghua had been doing business for so many years. Of course, he knew that people in the underworld could not be easily provoked. He also did this before. He stayed away from them and lived in peace. That was because his previous business did not need to deal with these people. Now that he had entered the real estate business, he realized the importance of relationships in the underworld. First of all, this demolition involved relationships in the underworld. He also truly understood why Fire Phoenix's demolition went so smoothly. Because she was a big shot in the underworld. Naturally, she had her ways. Moreover, the follow-up construction involved earth, stone, and other links. It was inevitable that there would be more or less contact with people in the underworld. The water in the real estate business was too deep. In the past, he only envied others for making a lot of money, but he did not consider the risks. Now that one of his feet had fallen in, it would be difficult for him to withdraw. Therefore, he could only hope to have a good relationship with these people. Manager Fang, please sit. Fire Phoenix's heroic spirit converged a lot. She now had a woman's unique elegance. Manager Fang, I heard you want to cooperate with our company? Fang Chonghua nodded his head. Yes, this is the purpose of my visit today. I want to discuss the cooperation with Manager Fire. I have a piece of land that needs to be demolished. Before he could finish his words, Fire Phoenix waved her hand, indicating him to stop. Fang Chonghua blankly looked at her. He did not know what she meant. Fire Phoenix looked at him with a smile that was not a smile. Seeing this, his scalp went numb. He blankly asked, Manager Fire, is there a problem? Do you know Tang Zheng? Fire Phoenix went straight to the point and asked. Fang Chonghua was stunned for a moment. He did not know why she would ask this question. Manager Fire, let's talk about the cooperation first. We can talk about this later. See the guest out. Fire Phoenix said with a cold expression. Ah. Fang Chonghua was stunned. What was going on? I didn't even finish speaking and she didn't want to talk about it anymore. Looking at her ice-cold expression, Fang Chonghua felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. He felt a chill run down his spine. But his reaction was very quick. He immediately realized that Fire Phoenix was more interested in Tang Zheng than business. He felt a huge sense of defeat and hurriedly said, then let's talk about Tang Zheng first. Fire Phoenix's cold expression disappeared by a lot. She put on an expression of listening attentively. Fang Chonghua's heart was filled with a huge sense of powerlessness as he said, Tang Zheng is an orphan. He was adopted by an old man who scavenged for scraps. He is currently studying at Pengcheng International School. In the past, his grades were very good, but now his grades are very bad. He is the last in the entire school. Fire Phoenix's lips curled up. She did not think that what Tang Zheng said was true. He really was the last in the entire school. Interesting. As for other aspects, he is no different from other people of the same age. Fang Chonghua was also very puzzled about Tang Zheng's situation. On the surface, there was nothing special about him. But why were these powerful people interested in him? Why were the people of the underworld so respectful to him? Even the Fang family was courteous to him. He felt that the world was in complete chaos. He was unable to find north. It's that simple? Fire Phoenix asked with dissatisfaction. This was the result of her investigation. But it clearly did not match the actual situation. It's that simple. Fang Chonghua said. Then do you know what his relationship with Lin Hu is? Fang Chonghua blankly shook his head. If only he knew earlier. But this matter was too strange. How could Tang Zheng be related to people of the underworld? Fire Phoenix could not hide her disappointment as she said, Your daughter is his girlfriend. Don't tell me you don't have any other information? Fang Chonghua revealed a trace of awkwardness as he shook his head. Manager Fang, don't blame me for not teaching you. Not making use of useful resources and rejecting them is not something a businessman should do. That's all I have to say. Please leave. Fire Phoenix finished speaking and returned to her seat. She buried her head in the documents and no longer paid attention to him. Fang Chonghua felt as if he had been paralyzed. His head buzzed as he did not understand why things had turned out this way. Fire Phoenix clearly did not want to cooperate with him. If not for wanting to inquire about Tang Zheng's information, she probably would not have even met with him. He really wanted to get angry. It has been many years since he had been angered like this. But in the end, the wolf had the upper hand. Fire Phoenix was the boss of the underworld. To go against her, he was tired of living. He stood up in a daze. He did not even know how he left the office. Walking on the street, he looked up at the sun. The glaring sunlight made him squint his eyes. But his eyes were still lifeless. He really wanted to roar towards the sky. But he knew that it was useless. He resentfully looked back at Fire Phoenix's office with an indescribable look of dismay. Could it be that this time I really can't pass this hurdle? I have worked hard for most of my life and finally achieved what I have today. Could it be that because of this matter, I will lose everything? He was not willing. But what was the use of this? Fire Phoenix clearly did not want to help him. Who could he look for? Business friends? Don't joke around. Others could not wait for him to be unlucky. In business, there was too much deception. How could there be real friends? Everyone was together because of benefits. If they could hit him while he was down, the other party would definitely not mind ruthlessly stepping on him. Don't blame me for not teaching you. Not making use of useful resources and rejecting them is not something a businessman should do. Fire Phoenix's words suddenly popped up in his mind. He was shocked. These words were not simple. There was a deeper meaning behind them. This useful resource was obviously referring to Tang Zheng. Yes, Fire Phoenix was interested in Tang Zheng. As long as Tang Zheng opened his mouth, Fire Phoenix would definitely agree. Then this stalemate could be broken. Tang Zheng was the person who would break this stalemate. He was like a person walking in the desert who suddenly saw water. Every cell in his body was activated. His brain was unprecedentedly active. His listless eyes gradually brightened up. He wanted to find Tang Zheng. Chapter 117. Fang Chonghua immediately returned home, preparing to have his daughter find Tang Zheng. Shi Mengqin was frightened by his anxious appearance and immediately asked for the reason. These few days, Shi Mengqin's days were not good as her husband was cold to her. Even though she did not think she did anything wrong, she was still cautious, not daring to touch her husband's bad luck. Fang Chonghua did not have time to explain to her and directly asked where his daughter was. Shi Mengqin angrily said, "She was called out by that little brat and no matter what I did, I could not stop her." "Then I'll call her." Fang Chonghua impatiently said. "Right, call her back. She and that little brat together will easily learn bad things. This time she won't even listen to her mother's words. It must be that little brat behind her back, saying bad things about me. Don't speak." Fang Chonghua unhappily stopped her. Shi Mengqin immediately kept quiet out of fear, not knowing why her husband was so angry. It was as if he had eaten gunpowder. Sure, are you with Tang Zheng?" The call connected and Fang Chonghua hurriedly asked. "Yes." Fang Sure did not hide it. Ever since the two's relationship was made public, she did not plan to hide it. Instead, she openly exposed it in front of her parents. She wanted to create an established fact, letting her parents get used to Tang Zheng's existence. "Where are you guys?" "Upwind Water." This was one of Ordinary Balance's buildings. "Okay, you guys wait for me there and don't run around. I'll come find you guys and we'll be there soon." Fang Chonghua finished speaking and walked towards his car. Shi Mengqin's eyebrows jumped and said with interest, "I'll also go. I want to see what this little brat is up to." "Mengqin, let me tell you, when you see Tang Zheng, you must have a good attitude." Fang Chonghua stopped and solemnly warned. "What?" Shi Mengqin was flabbergasted. Aren't we going to denounce him and bring Shishir back? Who said we're going to denounce him? We have a request for Tang Zheng, so we must have a good attitude. You never gave him a good face, so this time you must perform well and reverse the bad impression. Fang Chongguo was filled with regret. The current situation was all caused by his own family. He had personally pushed Tang Zheng to the opposite side. Shi Mengqin blankly looked at her husband. What was going on? Her mind was completely unable to react. Get in the car. Don't dawdle. Remember what I told you. Fang Chonghua had already started the car. Only then did Shi Mengqin absent-mindedly sit in the car, still feeling dizzy. The car sped to Shangfeng Shui, and the two of them finally saw Tang Zheng and Fang Shishir in the sales hall. Looking at the two of them from afar, Mr. and Mrs. Fang were guessing what they were doing here. It was a novel idea to arrange a date here. Of course, Tang Zheng was here to buy a house. He still had 700,000 yuan, which was just enough to buy a small house. However, he had already seen a few buildings. Although the sales lady had said a lot, he still hadn't made up his mind. Houses had always been the most important commodity for the people of the country. This was the place to settle down, so it must be carefully selected. Tang Zheng also did not have any experience, so in the end, he decided to call Fang Shishir over. In this aspect, she was a bit more knowledgeable. Although the sales lady saw that the two of them looked like high school students, she still did not look down on them. In this society, there were many low-key rich people. Although they were young, their families were rich. Who knows, if they were in a good mood, they might just buy a house. Tang Zheng listened until his head was spinning. He discovered that buying a house was much more difficult than cultivating. On the contrary, Fang Shishir listened with great interest. From time to time, she would ask a few questions, but she was always able to get to the point. This made the sales lady feel that the other party was not here to play around. Tang Zheng saw Fang Shishir and Shi Mengqin from afar. He pursed his lips at Fang Shishir, causing her expression to become a bit awkward. After all, the relationship between her boyfriend and her family was really bad. Shishir, what are you two doing here? Fang Chonghua asked with a smile. His smile was as amiable as possible, causing Tang Zheng to be stunned. Did the sun rise from the west? Little Tang, how are you? I haven't seen you for a few days. How are your injuries? Fang Chonghua asked with concern. It's already healed. Tang Zheng suspiciously looked at him. If things were abnormal, then there must be a demon. He did not dare to lower his guard. Young people's bodies are really good. They recover quickly. What are you two doing? Buying a house. The Fang couple were both shocked. They knew that with Tang Zheng's family conditions, how could he buy a house? Shi Mengqin's heart moved. Her face immediately became gloomy. She believed that Tang Zheng must have instigated Fang Shishir to buy a house for him. No wonder he called her over. It was truly a good plan. How long had it been and he was already eyeing the Fang family's property? He was truly too despicable. The anger in Shi Mengqin's heart immediately flared up. After losing her wolf, she had completely forgotten her husband's warning. She angrily said, Tang Zheng, you are young yet you don't learn well. You actually beat around the bush and think of ways to take my family's property. You are too vicious. Could it be that you learned this in school? No wonder your grades are so bad and you are the last in school. Once these words were spoken, the entire room was silent. Even the sales lady could not help but look at Tang Zheng. Was this true? This boy looked so delicate and pretty, how could he be so despicable? Tang Zheng froze for a moment. His face also sank. The feeling of being framed was not good. Moreover, Shi Mengqin had repeatedly believed that he was together with Fang Shishir for the Fang family's property. This was unbearable. You are not only insulting me, you are also insulting your daughter. Do you understand? Tang Zheng's tone became even more serious. Hein, you still dare to twist words and resort to sophistry. I will let everyone see your true face. Don't think that I don't know what you are thinking. Shi Mengqin became more and more energetic as she spoke. Fang Shishir was so angry that her entire body trembled. She was both heartbroken and angry. Why couldn't her own mother support her? Why did she have to oppose her and even insult Tang Jing like this? Mom, how can you be like this? This is not what you think. It is Tang Jing who wants to buy a house with his own money. Where does he have the money? Do you think that he can rely on his grandfather who picks up junk to earn money to buy a house? What a joke. He will definitely make you pay in the end. You silly girl. Shi Mengqin continued to ridicule. You shut up. Suddenly, Fang Chonghua loudly roared as he angrily stared at his wife. He wished that he could skin her alive. He came to ask for help from Tang Jing, but not only did she not help, she even added fuel to the fire. This time, he was truly finished. Chonghua, what I said was the truth. We must guard against this little brat's sinister intentions. Shi Mengqin continued to blabber on but saw a palm flying towards her. Pa! A crisp slap sounded out and her voice came to an abrupt stop. Shi Mengqin was dumbstruck as she stood there like a wooden puppet. She simply could not believe what had just happened. Fang Chonghua slapped her. He was her husband and had never hit her before. This was the first time. Fang Chonghua's face became the color of pig liver. His lungs were about to explode from anger. Everyone else was also stunned, especially the sales lady. From the start, she could tell that this couple was rich because they came out of the luxurious car outside. But the key point was, what was going on? The wife was shouting herself hoarse and criticizing the little handsome boy while the husband was flustered and exasperated as he slapped her. Even acting in a movie did not have such ups and downs. Dad, you. Fang Shishir stared at her father. Hein, don't listen to her nonsense. She doesn't understand anything. Fang Chonghua said with a lingering anger. Shi Mengqin finally came back to her senses. The pain on her face was very clear. This was not a dream but reality. She said with fear and anger, Fang Chonghua, you actually dare to hit me. Shut up. Do you think you haven't lost enough face? Fang Chonghua roared. Shi Mengqin saw an unprecedented anger on her husband's face. Her heart trembled as she finally felt a bit of fear. She did not dare to speak again. Dad, don't be so fierce. It's so scary. If you have something to say it properly. Fang Shishir advised but still felt as if she was in the clouds. Fang Chonghua squeezed out a smile at his daughter and said, if only your mother was as reasonable as you. Then, he looked at Tang Jing and made his tone as amiable as possible and said, Tang Jing, don't be angry at her. She is used to being unreasonable. Tang Jing did not bat an eyelid as he had already seen some clues. Last time, Fang Chonghua did not have such a good attitude towards him. There must be a reason for this 180-degree change. Seeing Tang Jing not say a word, Fang Chonghua squeezed out a smile that was uglier than crying and said, you want to buy a house, right? You don't need to waste your money. Our family still has a few houses. You can choose one to live in. What? Everyone else was shocked. Just now, Shi Mengqin was still saying that Tang Zheng was doing this for the Fang family's property. Now, she took the initiative to give him a house. This change was just too big. Tang Zheng suddenly stared blankly at Fang Chonghua. He did not come back to his senses as he stared blankly at Fang Chonghua. The sales lady stared at this group of people as if they were aliens. This little handsome brother's charm was just too great. He did not even conquer his mother-in-law and instead conquered his father-in-law. Moreover, from the looks of it, his father-in-law seemed to be trying to curry favor with him. But didn't they just say that this little handsome brother's family was poor? Could it be that the world has changed and the poor are now so popular that the rich like to give to the poor? In short, this change made everyone present feel that it was inconceivable. Shi Mengqin clearly wanted to flip out but was afraid of her husband's anger, so she did not dare to speak. In the corner of the sales hall, a graceful figure looked at this scene with interest. It was hard to hide the shock on her face, but there was also a trace of anger in her eyes as her gaze focused on Tang Zheng. This person was Lu Qingmei. She hatefully thought, Tang Zheng, you actually dared to lie to me. You said that you were taking a leave of absence to recuperate at home. This lively appearance, where does it look like you are recuperating? Moreover, you came to buy a house with Fang Shishir and so many things have happened. Heng, I think you just want to avoid your promise with me and not participate in the monthly exam. Just you wait, I will definitely take care of you. Tang Zheng never would have thought that he would bump into Lu Qingmei when he came to buy a house because she was also buying a house. Chapter 118. Lu Qingmei had only been in ordinary balance for a little over a year, and now that the rent was about to expire, she was preparing to buy a house. Today, she finally had a month off and came to look at houses. She never thought that she would run into Tang Zheng and Fang Shishir. She was not in a hurry to greet them and instead deliberately hid in a corner to observe the two. She was very curious as to why they were looking at a house. It couldn't be that they were going to live together so quickly. Even if they were living together, they couldn't possibly buy a house. Therefore, she planned to wait and see what the two were going to do. She never thought that she would see such an unforeseen event and be stunned. When she heard Fang Chonghua say that he was going to gift a house to Tang Zheng, Lu Qingmei's eyebrows knitted together. The words of a rich person were not as simple as the literal meaning. Moreover, Fang Chonghua was one of the board members of Pengqing International School. She had heard that he was not a kind person who would casually gift a house to someone. Moreover, it was rumored that the Fang family was very opposed to the relationship between Tang Zheng and Fang Shishir. This could be seen from Shi Mengqin's reaction just now. But the key was Fang Chonghua's attitude. Why did he tempt Tang Zheng with benefits? Lu Qingmei did not think that Fang Chonghua was bored enough to tease Tang Zheng. It was very clear that Fang Chonghua was serious. She could not understand all of this. Tang Zheng also could not understand, but he understood the other party. This change from arrogance to respect was too great, causing him to be somewhat on guard. He lightly said, I appreciate your good intentions, but I have the money to buy a house myself. Don't misunderstand, I really want to gift it to you. I also have a house here in Upper Wind Mountain that has been renovated a long time ago. Now that I'm giving it to you, it can be considered as making the best use of it and not wasting it. Seeing Tang Zheng refuse, Fang Chonghua was secretly astonished and began to value him even more. If he was able to withstand this kind of temptation, was he still a normal person? What he did not know was that Tang Zheng was taught by his grandfather to not accept a reward without any effort. Of course, he would not accept the other party's gift for no reason. Fang Shishir looked at her father curiously, but she didn't think too much about it. She just thought that her father was trying to ease his relationship with Tang Zheng, which was what she looked forward to the most. Therefore, she tugged at Tang Zheng's hand and whispered, My father means well. Just accept it. This kindness is too precious. Tang Zheng refused. He always felt that Fang Chonghua's change was a little strange. If it was because of the last meal, it would not have been delayed until now. All in all, Tang Zheng would not accept this kind of kindness without knowing the ins and outs of the matter. When the saleswoman saw Tang Zheng reject her, she really wanted to say that if you don't want to give it to me, I will definitely go crazy with joy. However, she also looked at Tang Zheng even more curiously. Tang Zheng had become the center of attention, but he didn't show the slightest difference. He just looked at Fang Chonghua thoughtfully. Fang Chonghua had a troubled look on his face. He thought for a moment and said, Tang Zheng, can you come out and talk to me alone? Okay. Tang Zheng agreed. Sure, look after your mother. Fang Chonghua ordered. Fang Shishir nodded and gave Tang Zheng an encouraging look. She whispered, have a good talk with my father. I don't think he is against our relationship anymore. You have to seize this opportunity. Tang Jing nodded calmly and followed Fang Chonghua out of the sales hall. Fang Chonghua took out a cigarette and lit it. He took a deep breath and saw Tang Jing come over. He passed the cigarette to him, but Tang Jing shook his head and refused. It's good that you don't smoke. Smoking is bad for your health. Fang Chonghua put the cigarette back in his pocket. His eyes narrowed slightly as he hid behind the light smoke. His expression was somewhat dignified. Tang Jing also chose to remain silent and looked into the distance. Do you really like my daughter? Fang Chonghua blew out a smoke ring and finally spoke. Tang Jing nodded heavily, I really do. Fang Chonghua looked at him through the smoke ring and said, I haven't seen a young man like you in many years. Persistent and fearless. It is difficult for outside people or things to affect your decisions. Tang Zhang's lips curled up slightly. Perhaps this is my temper. I can't change it. You have to know that we are Shishi's parents. The matter between the two of you will ultimately require our approval. Tang Zhang's eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at Fang Chonghua. He did not say a word and seemed to be thinking about what to say. In that moment, Fang Chonghua saw many things in his swollen eyes. There was a little frivolity and a strong confidence. This confidence was something that even he did not have. In the end, humans would always have fear and scruples. Therefore, although he kept saying that he was confident, it was very difficult for him to really be confident. However, Fang Chonghua could see that confidence in his pair of black eyes. Tang Jing did not seem to take the difficulty that Fang Chonghua mentioned seriously. It was as if he could do it if he wanted to. Fang Chonghua had to admit that he was shaken by his pair of eyes. Of course, he did not know where Tang Zhang's confidence came from. His confidence came from the secrets he possessed. He was already a cultivator, and compared to mortals, he was a person from a different world. Although his cultivation was not very high, his horizons were already extraordinary. This was definitely not because he was looking at the top of his head or biting off more than he could chew. The matter between me and Shishi, I will always believe that it is between the two of us. Even if others have a little opinion, as long as the two of us do not have any opinion, then this matter will not be a problem. Tang Zhang said softly. He was not in a rush, but his confidence was truly emitted. Fang Chonghua took a deep breath. Only now did he truly face Tang Zhang. He also understood why Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix valued him so much. He really had the ability to match them. But if her family does not object, then wouldn't this matter be icing on the cake? Fang Chonghua asked. Tang Jing did not comment. Moreover, Shishi will care about our attitude. If you really like her, then you should care about her feelings, don't you think so? Tang Jing could not deny that with Fang Shishi's personality, she would ultimately care about her parents' attitude. So before, I tried to make you accept her, but you ignored me. Tang Jing did not know why the other party had changed so much today. Since the other party had mentioned this point, he might as well open up the problem. That's right. In the past, we did ignore you and even provoked you, but it's undeniable that parents want their daughters to have a good home. With the conditions you showed in the past, of course, we thought that you and Shishi are not suitable. A good home? Tang Jing snorted, your so-called good home is money and power? Have you ever thought about the opinion of the person involved? Does she like money or power? You might say that when she is a little older, she will understand your good intentions, but I want to say that this is all bullshit. Tang Zhang and Tian Chanzi had been together for a long time, and occasionally liked to spew out one or two vulgarities. When two people are together, the most important thing is that they like each other. External conditions are secondary. Only when the heart is the same, then they will truly be together. Moreover, if a man truly loves a woman, he will not be lazy, but will do everything possible to make her happy. Therefore, in the end, this woman will obtain love and material things together, and will not become a puppet enslaved by material things. Boy, well said. I did not expect you to have a talent for speech. Tian Chanzi excitedly praised. If he was given a pair of hands, he would definitely clap until his palms turned red. Fang Chongguo looked at him in a daze and muttered, I did not expect you to have so many life experiences at such a young age. You are not simple. I have already seen you in a new light, so things will change. I will not stop you and Shishir from doing things together. Let nature take its course. These words were not perfunctory words to Tang Zheng, but the truth. In the past, he opposed Tang Zheng because he felt that Tang Zheng could not bring happiness to his daughter. But now, this was no longer a problem, so why not consider his daughter's feelings? It has to be said that the success of Fang Chongguo's business was not by chance, and it was inseparable from his ability to make decisions. Since he recognized Tang Zheng's ability, then he would choose to make the corresponding decision. Tang Zheng looked at him in astonishment. Only now did he properly examine the other party. Although he and Shi Mengqin were husband and wife, they were not the same type of people. Shi Mengqin really despised the poor and loved the rich, but Fang Chongguo clearly had more inner qualities. Thank you, I will treat Shishir well. Tang Zheng solemnly promised. This was a man's promise, and it would never change. Fang Chongguo smiled, and with a flick of his finger, the extinguished cigarette flew into the trash can. Today I have said so much to you, so I am a lot more relaxed. But I still have to tell you one thing in advance, so that in the future you won't think that I am two-faced and deliberately playing tricks. What is it? After Shishir graduates, she will go abroad to study. This is something that I have already arranged, and it is not because of you. I hope you can understand. Fang Chongguo was speaking the truth. Go abroad? Tang Zheng was startled. Going abroad was something that was unattainable for him in the past, so he had never thought about it. But Pengsheng International School had many such precedents. After all, they were all children from rich families, and most of them liked to go abroad to study. Even if their results were not good, they liked to go abroad to plaster a layer of gold and come back as a turtle. You have to know that the education resources abroad are more abundant. I want Shishir to receive the best education, so this is the only way. Fang Chongguo explained, if you really like her, then you should let her go and let her obtain more and become better, and not just keep her by your side. I think this is true love. Tang Zheng was speechless. Fang Chongguo's words were indeed reasonable, but he had never thought that after graduation, they would go their separate ways, and even be separated by thousands of miles. Actually, Shishir also wanted to go abroad before, and this was also her idea. But with my understanding of her, she definitely doesn't want to go abroad now, and wants to be with you. Fang Chongguo clearly understood his daughter very well. I know it is very difficult for you to accept this, so I don't need you to make a decision now. You can think about what is the best situation for Shishir, and give me an answer after you graduate. Tang Zheng nodded with mixed feelings. Fang Shishir had never told him that she wanted to go abroad, and it seemed that he had neglected her thoughts before. Now let's talk about another matter. Fang Chongguo said. Chapter 119. The reason why I gave you this house is because I need your help. Fang Chongguo decided not to beat around the bush as it would be easier for them to communicate. Sure enough, Tang Zheng curiously asked, what's the matter? My company has a problem and I need Fire Phoenix's help to get through this hurdle, so I want you to help me. You want me to go and plead with Fire Phoenix? I'm afraid I don't have that much face. I've only met her once. Tang Zheng disagreed. Fang Chongguo shook his head. You're still underestimating your own strength. Although I don't know why you're valued by these big shots, I believe you can do it. If I can't get through this hurdle, then I will go bankrupt and lose everything. Tang Zheng suspiciously looked at the other party, not knowing if these words were true or false. Fang Chongguo met his gaze and did not avoid it, appearing very open and aboveboard. If I go bankrupt, then there will definitely be people chasing after me. At that time, even Shishir won't have the money to go abroad to study. Tang Zheng said that it would be better if she didn't go abroad, but he wasn't that selfish. The other party's meaning was very clear. If he went bankrupt, then Shishir's life would not be guaranteed. Fang Shishir had lived a life of luxury since young. If her family fell, then it would make her very sad and she wouldn't be able to adapt to the life of hiding from debt. Scent. As Fang Shishi's boyfriend, Tang Jing naturally didn't want to see this happen. Tang Jing subconsciously wanted to avoid Fire Phoenix, but this time there was no other way. He muttered, "Okay, I'll help you. I don't need your house. I'm doing this for Shishir." Fang Chonghua smiled, "I really didn't misjudge you. You're really doing this for Shishir's sake. But I still want to give you the house. This is what you deserve. If you accept it, then I'll feel at ease. Moreover, you also heard Shishir's words. If you don't accept it, then she won't be happy." Tang Jing turned around to look at Fang Shishir. He found that she was smiling at him and winking at him, encouraging him. His heart skipped a beat, and he said, "Okay, I'll accept it." He was a straightforward person. Moreover, in the eyes of others, a house worth several 100,000 gold coins was very expensive, but in his eyes, it wasn't that expensive. After all, he was someone who was willing to give away a priceless treasure like the life-continuing pill for free. Fang Chonghua heaved a sigh of relief. Only when Tang Zheng accepted the house would he truly believe that Tang Zheng would help him. Only then would the conflict between them truly be resolved. Don't take her mother's words to heart. Sometimes, she just doesn't think before she speaks. Tang Zheng shrugged. Since they had turned hostility into friendship, he still had the magnanimity to forgive others. When the two of them walked in, everyone looked over, not knowing how the discussion went. Shi Mengqin really wanted to know the result, but in the end, she did not dare to speak nonsense. "We're not buying a house anymore." "I'm sorry," Tang Zheng said apologetically to the sales lady. The sales lady gave a professional smile and said that it was fine. "You promised my father?" Fang Shishir intimately hugged his arm and asked. Tang Zheng nodded his head. "Wah, you really are too good." Fang Shishir excitedly hugged his arm even tighter, rubbing her chest, causing Tang Zheng's spirit to sway. If not for the fact that there were so many people, perhaps Fang Shishir would have directly kissed him. However, the deep affection in her eyes could be seen by anyone. His character is strong, so he must have agreed to accept this house for my sake. He really is good to me. Fang Shishir sweetly thought. "Let's go, we'll go home to get the keys and property certificate. Afterwards, we'll go to the Housing Management Bureau to complete the procedures," Fang Chonghua said. Several people walked out, leaving behind pairs of envious eyes. In their hearts, they wondered why they did not have such good luck to find a rich family's daughter. Lu Qingmei's eyebrows tightly knit as she watched the luxurious car drive away. She muttered to herself, "Tang Zheng is actually this kind of person who climbs up the social ladder. I really misjudged him." Clearly, she believed that Tang Zheng had taken a fancy to this house. As for why Fang Chonghua was so good to Tang Zheng, she was unable to guess the reason. After taking the procedures and going to the Housing Management Bureau to complete the transfer procedures, this 90 square meter 2-room apartment in Shangfeng Shangshui would be Tang Zheng's. Shi Mengqin's gaze towards Tang Zheng also changed because she already knew from her husband that Tang Zheng was related to the survival of the Fang family. If Tang Zheng did not help, then her life as a rich lady would come to an end. Shi Mengqin was a realistic person, and the most important thing for a realistic person was to clearly distinguish between the pros and cons. Since Tang Zheng was so important, then she had to do everything possible to win him over. Even if she still had a knot in her heart, she would do her best to not show it on her face. Thus, Tang Zheng's situation was much better. He could openly sit with Fang Shishir in the back. Fang Shishir was leaning against him and no one else had any complaints. "Tang Zheng, tomorrow I'll help you move," Fang Shishir excitedly said. "Tomorrow I'll first accompany your father to do some things before moving." "No problem, I'll first go to your house to pack your things." "Okay." Tang Zheng did not refuse. "Tang Zheng, do you need a car to move?" "Tomorrow I'll call the driver to help you." "No need, I don't have many things so I can do it myself." Tang Zheng did not wish for outsiders to discover the 9 revolving pill furnace and ginseng, these 2 treasures, so he rejected the other's good intentions. Fang Chonghua also did not force him. As night fell, Tang Zheng sat on his bed and looked up at the small room. He had lived here for 18 years and really had deep feelings for it. He had memories of everything here. In the future, these memories would have to be sealed away. He was really reluctant to part with them. Tang Dahai was even more reluctant than him. This was the home he had lived in for most of his life. Every brick and tile had his traces. Suddenly leaving here, in addition to reluctance, there was also a sense of unreality. When he heard Tang Zheng talk about this matter, he felt that it was inconceivable. He thought that he would live here for the rest of his life and even die of old age here. But now that his grandson was being filial to him and was letting him live in a bright and clean high-rise building, he felt gratified but also a little sad. In short, his emotions were very complicated, but he could not drag his grandson down. If his grandson wanted to live in a high-rise building, then he would live there. For his grandson, he was willing to do anything and was willing to give up anything. Of course, he also asked how the new house came about. Tang Jing did not hide anything and said that Fang Shishi's father had a favor to ask of him, so he gave it to him. Tang Dahai only reminded him that a man should be independent and did not blame him for accepting the house because he understood that he was a director. Tang Zheng was a director, and since Tang Jing did this, there must be a reason. Tang Zheng had really grown up and had the ability. Many things, he would only provide a little reference and advice, and would not criticize. This simple and honest old man had always thought that he did not read much and did not have much ability, so he could only peacefully watch Tang Jing grow up. There was no need for him to interfere too much with Tang Zheng's growth because there were many things that he could not do. Tang Zheng was lucky to have such a grandfather. He also understood the deep meaning in his grandfather's eyes, so he was very touched. Through the door, he heard the sound of his grandfather tossing and turning in bed. His heart was also a little confused. Finally, he collected his thoughts and took out a spirit-gathering pill. Even in the darkness, the spirit-gathering pill emitted a faint golden luster. The spirit-gathering pill melted in his mouth, turning into a warm current that flowed down his throat and into his 8 extraordinary meridians. A powerful spiritual energy exploded from within his body, and his 5 viscera, 6 bowels, 4 limbs, and hundreds of bones all had a particularly shocking feeling. Circulate the ancient clear heaven scroll. This spirit-gathering pill not only contains abundant spiritual energy, it can also gather more spiritual energy from heaven and earth, increasing your cultivation speed. Tian Chanzi's voice sounded. Tang Zheng closed his eyes, and with a thought, the ancient clear heaven scroll quietly circulated. The spiritual energy scattered all over his body quickly divided into 2, one to his dantian and the other to his sea of consciousness. At the same time, the spiritual energy between heaven and earth quickly gathered towards him. Although the spiritual energy between heaven and earth was thin, with the effect of the spirit-gathering pill, the spiritual energy within a kilometer radius was like a gathering of soldiers. It quickly flew towards the house, penetrated the walls, passed through Tang Zheng's body, and gathered in his dantian and sea of consciousness. In the darkness, no one noticed this change, because ordinary people simply could not perceive the existence of spiritual energy. However, animals and plants were more sensitive than humans. Many small animals quickly moved closer to the house. In the darkness, they stared with bright eyes, raised their heads, opened their mouths, and constantly absorbed the spiritual energy. Under normal circumstances, these animals absorbed spiritual energy very slowly, but now the spiritual energy around Tang Zheng's house had reached a nearly saturated state. After all the spiritual energy within a kilometer radius was gathered here, and even the air felt a little sticky. The wildflowers and weeds in the corners of the house grew much faster, and a subtle change occurred. Tang Zheng was unaware of the changes in the outside world. He was immersed in his own world. The spiritual energy in his dantian quickly gathered and formed a mass of air. This was his true qi. The true qi rapidly rotated, like a whirlpool, attracting more and more spiritual energy. In his sea of consciousness, the light purple first-grade true fire was shining brightly. After absorbing the spiritual energy, the flame clearly became a bit taller, burning more vigorously, and its color became brighter. The entire sea of consciousness became a light purple color, and looked particularly mysterious. Time passed little by little, from night to day. When dawn arrived, he stopped cultivating. The flame in his sea of consciousness was still burning vigorously, and the flame had returned to its original height, but its color was a little brighter. The true chi whirlpool in his dantian also quickly dissipated, and walked through the 9 main meridians. It had reached 4 inches and 6 parts. In one night, he had increased his true chi by 6 parts. Tian Chanzi was speechless. If other people took the spirit-gathering pill, they would only increase their true chi by 2 or 3 parts, but he had increased it by 6 parts. It was simply incomparable. However, Tian Chanzi had already adapted to Tang Zheng's abnormal speed, and was not surprised. Tang Zheng was very happy. The spirit-gathering pill was indeed a miraculous elixir, and its effect was too obvious. If he took one every day, wouldn't his cultivation soar? The spirit-gathering pill's effect is of course good, but it can't be taken every day. Use it once every 10 days. Otherwise, your body won't be able to withstand such a rapid increase in true qi. You need to let your body adapt. Tian Chanzi immediately poured cold water on him. Tang Zheng was not depressed. If he took one every 10 days, his cultivation speed would be very fast, and even a bit abnormal. He was secretly happy for a moment, and continued to observe the changes in his body. The true qi in his 9 main meridians had increased, and the pure yang power had also increased. His body temperature had unknowingly risen. Chapter 120. Tang Zheng and Fang Chongguo once again arrived at Fire Phoenix's company but were blocked outside by the secretary, who tactfully said that Fire Phoenix was busy and would not be receiving guests. She had already recognized Fang Chongguo and refused to be a guest. Fang Chongguo secretly sighed, as it was fortunate that he brought Tang Zheng, otherwise he would not even be able to see Fire Phoenix's face. Thus he let the secretary pass on the message to Fire Phoenix that Tang Zheng had come to pay a visit. The secretary suspiciously looked at the two and went back in. Not long after, she came out and looked at Tang Zheng with astonishment, as she did not expect him to have such a big face. "Young Master Tang, Manager Fang, Fire Phoenix invites you in." The secretary's attitude was clearly much more respectful. Fang Chongguo bitterly smiled as he looked at Tang Zheng, as his face was still bigger. Pushing open the door and entering, Fire Phoenix had already welcomed them and warmly welcomed them. "Young Master Tang, Manager Fang, welcome. There are many things to do in the company, so I've made the two of you wait." Fang Chongguo did not speak, as it was clear that Tang Zheng was more welcome, so he let him speak. Tang Zheng calmly said, "Fire Phoenix is too polite. We suddenly came to visit and have disturbed you. Young Master Tang, I don't like what you're saying. For you to be able to pull in my small plot of land is my honor. You must think highly of me, Fire Phoenix." Fire Phoenix straightforwardly said, as she clearly had a bit more of a Jianghu aura, which was very different from her previous white-collar temperament. Fang Chongguo tacitly understood, as Fire Phoenix was using the Jianghu style to interact with Tang Zheng. It was clearly much more cordial compared to the business world. Could it be that Tang Zheng has also become a Jianghu person? Fang Chongguo secretly wondered. The few of them sat down on the sofa as the secretary served tea. She could not help but look at Tang Zheng a few more times, as Fire Phoenix rarely treated people like this. "Your side is quite unique." Tang Zheng praised, as although Fire Phoenix was a Jianghu person, she was clearly a level higher than Lin Hu. Her business was neither black nor white and had a bit of gray temperament, but it was much better than Lin Hu's business. Take this construction company for example. At least from the outside, it looked like a proper company. As for how many underlings the company had, that was not something outsiders knew. "Young Master Tang, you flatter me. This is just a small matter. Now that brother who has taken over Boss Fan's territory, I can't compare to him." Fire Phoenix waved her hand and said modestly, "You're not the same as him. Your focus is also different. I heard that your company is the leader in this field. How many people are looking forward to cooperating with Chief Hua? Tang Zheng lightly said. Fire Phoenix looked at Fang Chonghua with a smile that was not a smile and said, Young Master Tang, you flatter me. This is all because everyone is giving face. Everyone is picking up materials with high flames. Boss Hua, to tell you the truth, I came here today because I have something to ask of you. After the greetings, Tang Zheng went straight to the point. Oh, what's the matter, young Master Tang? Fire Phoenix asked knowingly. Tang Zheng pointed at Fang Chonghua and said, This is Uncle Fang. Chief Hua has already met him. Uncle Fang's real estate company needs Chief Hua's assistance in the demolition. What does Chief Hua think? Tang Zheng was not sure if the other party would agree to his request. After all, the two had only met once. If Fire Phoenix was really curious about him, then it was true. But whether or not she would give him face, he was not sure in his heart. Fang Chonghua continued to say, Chief Hua, since we are cooperating with your company, we will definitely not treat your company unfairly. Moreover, Chief Hua has helped me this time. This Fang will definitely remember it in my heart. On Fire Phoenix's face hung an unfathomable smile, making it impossible for others to see through her thoughts. She looked at Tang Zheng with a burning gaze and said, Young Master Tang, since you have such a good relationship with Director Fang, I will definitely help you. But if I have any trouble in the future, can young Master Tang lend me a hand? Fang Chonghua immediately looked at Tang Zheng. He really did not understand what Fire Phoenix's power would require Tang Zheng's help in. But Fire Phoenix was clearly not joking. Moreover, she deliberately let him lead Tang Zheng here, as if to obtain this promise. Tang Zheng thoughtfully looked at the other party. He really could not understand Fire Phoenix's thoughts. According to Lin Hu's words, Fire Phoenix was able to support such a large business all these years. She was definitely not an ordinary person. Whether it was her temperament or her methods, she could be considered outstanding. What does she need my help with? Tang Zheng's eyebrows lightly jumped and said, Chief Hua, your fame is widespread. Why would you need my help? Fire Phoenix chuckled, picked up the teacup and took a sip. She said neither too fast nor too slow, people will have their highs and lows. I am just an ordinary woman, so I am not an exception. Don't look at my current glory. Who knows when I will be in dire straits. So when that time comes, I hope young Master Tang will remember today's kindness and help me, Fire Phoenix, along. Since she had already said this much, if Tang Zheng still did not agree, then there would be no need to continue the discussion. Tang Zheng knew the situation, so he nodded without hesitation. Since Chief Hua thinks so highly of me, then I will naturally remember today's kindness. Hee, then I will first thank young Master Tang. Fire Phoenix was completely satisfied as she said with a smile. Fang Chonghua let out a sigh of relief, but he was also somewhat depressed. All his efforts were in vain, but Tang Zheng only gave Fire Phoenix a promise. There was nothing substantial, but the problem was easily solved. He really understood the essence of the phrase, comparing yourself to others will only make you angry. Young Master Tang, after that night, Brother Hu and I talked about many things. I wonder if young Master Tang is interested in having a private chat with me? Fire Phoenix probed. She had always been observing Tang Zheng and had always been probing him. For such an unfathomable person to appear in the ordinary balance, she had no choice but to be careful. This was her usual practice for the past 10 years. If she did not rely on this cautiousness, then she would have already left this world. Fang Chonghua awkwardly looked at Tang Zheng, not knowing whether or not he should withdraw. It was better for him to know less about matters of the underworld. Unexpectedly, Tang Zheng shook his head and said, Since Brother Hu wants to discuss with you, then it is better for the two of you to know. I will not participate. Moreover, I am about to take the college entrance exam, so I do not have much time to deal with other matters. Fire Phoenix looked at this serious face and felt a sense of absurdity. Such a mysterious youth was actually still in high school. Moreover, he was preparing for the college entrance exam. She, as a delinquent girl, found it hard to understand. Young Master Tang really loves to study. There is no other way. You also know that I am last place. If I do not put in some effort, then I am afraid that I will not even be able to pass the college entrance exam. That would not be good. Tang Zheng sighed. With young Master Tang's strength, even if you do not study, you will still be able to make those famous university students work under young Master Tang. I do not have that strength. Moreover, knowledge is the primary productive force. A person should read more books. Tang Zheng was now a cultivator. According to reason, he should just concentrate on his cultivation. However, he did not do so. Not only was he working hard to prepare for the college entrance exam, but he was also preparing to do well. This was not only for his grandfather, but also for himself. In a person's life, the most important thing was experience. If one did not experience it, then it would always be a regret. But since he had this opportunity, how could he give it up? Fire Phoenix did not understand his mentality but did not continue to persuade him. She only smiled and sighed. Young Master Tang is indeed more insightful than a crude person like me. In the future, I hope to be able to interact more with young Master Tang and let me be a little bit cultured. Tang Jing smiled and said, if I can interact more with young Master Fire, I will definitely benefit a lot. Then it's settled. Young Master Tang, do you mind leaving your contact information? Fire Phoenix said. Tang Zheng gave her a number and Fire Phoenix dialed it on the spot. Tang Zheng's phone rang. His old phone had completed its historical mission. Now he had a new smartphone that cost $1,000. It was much better than his old one. Tang Zheng wrote down Fire Phoenix's number and got up to leave. Young Master Fire, I still have some matters to attend to, so I will be leaving first. Let's chat again next time. Fire Phoenix shook her phone and mysteriously smiled. Okay, let's chat again next time. Uncle Fong, I will be going back first. You and young Master Fire can discuss the matter of cooperation. Tang Zheng said. Fong Chonghua said with satisfaction, if there is anything you need, give me a call. Fire Phoenix sent Tang Zheng to the door and affectionately shook hands with him. Only then did Tang Zheng leave and go straight home. Fong Shishir had already gone to his house to pack up his things. He had to hurry back. When he got home, he found that many things had already been packed. Tang Dahai and Fong Shishir's busy figures shuttled back and forth in the room. Grandfather, do you still want this thing? Yes. Okay, then I will pack it up. Fong Shishir was like a little bee, tirelessly packing up his things. Her forehead was already covered in sweat, but she was completely unaware. It was as if she had endless motivation. Tang Jing felt some heartache. She had never done this kind of work at home but was willing to do it for him. He quickly walked in and took the thing from her hand. It was a little heavy. He didn't know where she got her strength from with her small body. You are back. She revealed a brilliant smile. Her snow-white teeth paired with two small dimples made her look especially amiable. It was like a wife at home seeing her husband come home. Her eyebrows were filled with deep affection. Tang Zheng wiped the sweat off her forehead and said, why do you have to work so hard? Just wait for me to come back. Fong Shishir rubbed against his palm. Her face was so happy that it was about to bloom like a flower. Anyway, I have nothing to do. I will do it first. When you come back, you can do less. What a silly girl. Tang Zheng's head was warm. If grandfather was not beside him, he would have pulled her into his arms. You rest first. I will do it. Tang Zheng said. Let's do it together. Tang Dahai looked at the two from the side. His face also bloomed with a gratified smile. Originally, he was worried about Fong Shishir's family background. After all, the children of rich families were mostly spoiled. However, Fong Shishir did not have many bad habits in this area. This made Tang Dahai feel relieved. At least he felt that the two of them would live together harmoniously in the future. The three of them were busy for a while. Everything was packed. In fact, there was not much. After all, the new house had all the daily appliances and furniture. They only needed to bring some daily clothes and other small items. Chapter 121. After packing up and moving the things into a rented van, the small house was surrounded by many neighbors. Free novel portal after all, the grandfather and grandson had lived here for decades, and many people knew each other, and these were all poor people. At first glance, when they saw the grandfather and grandson move, they all showed surprise and envy. Many people came forward to say hello, saying that Tang Dahai was lucky to finally be able to walk out of the slums. They also said that they had seen Tang Zheng as a promising child since he was young, and it was true. Everyone was generous with their praise, expressing their blessings to the grandfather and grandson. Tang Dahai also responded enthusiastically, and there was no sense of pride or vanity at all. As an old man who had been honed by life for decades, those useless vanity feelings had long been thrown to the back of his mind, and what was left was only simplicity. In the sound of a group of people shouting to come back more often, the van started and drove towards the new house. Wind and water. Tang Zheng let his grandfather be the first to enter the house. When the old man stepped into the new house, he was still a little uncomfortable, as if he was afraid that his shoes would dirty the floor. Then, he was shocked by the new house. The decoration of the house was very luxurious, and the furniture and appliances were all high-end goods. Tang Dahai had never seen many of them before. He was like Granny Lu who had just entered the Grand View Garden, but there was no vanity, only amazement. "Grandfather, you rest first and visit the new house. I'll go move the luggage." Tang Zheng sat the old man down on the sofa and then ran downstairs. Fang Shishir also followed. It was already May, and the weather was gradually getting hot. Fang Shishir's face was sweating again, but her face was always full of smiles. Tang Zheng had been in the same class with her for 3 years, but he had never seen so many smiles. "You're tired too. Rest at home. I'll take care of these things in a while." Tang Zheng took care of everything. "Humph, you want to leave me alone?" "No way, labor is the most glorious, I also want to be glorious." Fang Shishir rushed to carry a bag of luggage in her arms, like a small soldier in a rapid march. She quickly went upstairs. Tang Zheng shook his head and smiled. He did not stop her, but the warmth in his heart grew stronger and stronger. Tang Zheng was very strong, and there was an elevator. It didn't take long for the luggage to be moved into the new house. In fact, many of the things that Tang Dahai brought were useless and took up space. Tang Zheng did not interfere, because these things all contained his grandfather's memories, so it did not matter if they took up a little space. In a home, the most important thing was to live comfortably. With these old things, Tang Dahai would be comfortable. Tang Dahai had mixed feelings. He was gradually adapting to this new environment. From the balcony overlooking the courtyard, there were many old people moving around. The environment was indeed very comfortable. "Little Zheng, you guys rest well at home. I'll go down and familiarize myself with the environment. I'll also go to the market and buy some groceries." "Little girl, don't go, stay here and eat," Tang Dahai said. "Grandfather, we'll go with you," Fang Shishir said obediently. Tang Dahai waved his hand. "No need, you guys have been tired for half a day. Rest first, I'll be back in 2 hours." Grandfather left, leaving only 2 people in the large room. Fang Shishir looked at Tang Zheng with shining eyes and asked, "Are you happy moving to a new house?" "Of course I'm happy, but I see that you're even happier than me. You always have a smile on your face. Labor is glorious, of course I'm happy. Is it only because of labor, and no other reason?" Tang Zheng asked mischievously. Fang Shishir's charming face blushed. "What other reason could there be? Could it be that there's no reason for me?" "Shameless. Fang Shishir stuck out her tongue. I'm shameless, but you're really beautiful. How am I beautiful? I'm covered in sweat. Receiving the praise of her beloved, Fang Shishir said insincerely. Covered in sweat? Let me smell it. Tang Zheng hugged her, put his nose on her body, took a few deep breaths, and said, How is it smelly sweat? It's clearly dripping with fragrant sweat. Fang Shishir giggled. How is sweat fragrant? You don't mean what you say. That's not what I said. The ancients said, a faint fragrance of flowers, a faint fragrance of women. Your body is really fragrant. If you don't believe me, you can smell it. Tang Zheng said seriously. Then I'll smell it. Fang Shishir raised her arm and smelled it. Indeed, there wasn't much of a smell, but the fragrance of a young girl was a bit stronger because of the evaporation of sweat. Isn't it fragrant? Let me smell it again. Tang Zheng's face moved down from her neck to her towering chest, and then he didn't want to leave. You dare to be naughty. Fang Shishir immediately saw through his intentions, grabbed his ear and said coquettishly. How am I naughty? I'm such a pure person. Tang Zheng didn't even raise his head as he said with an evil smile. Humph, I was deceived by your innocence before, you really are a big bad person. Fang Shishir's tone became hurried. Hurry and get up, otherwise I'll twist your ear. Twist it, even if you twist my ear, I won't be willing to get up. Tang Zheng said mischievously. Fang Shishir helplessly put down her hand, admitting defeat. I really don't know what to do with you. Hi hey, last time we didn't finish, but you promised me to continue. Fang Shishir immediately remembered the intimacy they had last time in that small room. Her heart thumped wildly, and her cheeks became even redder. Bad person, so you still remember this matter. Of course I remember, how could I forget such an important matter? Tang Zheng said as a matter of fact. Fang Shishir's breathing couldn't help but quicken, and her body began to heat up. She shyly said, I'm sweating, I can't. It's okay, you'll be sweating later anyway. You are really bad. Fang Shishir was helpless. Listen, whose heart is beating faster? Your heart betrayed your true thoughts. Tang Zheng put his ear on her chest. Fang Shishir hurriedly tried to break free, but when she straightened her body, it was as if she took the initiative to press her chest on his face. How could Tang Zheng let go of this great opportunity, and his face fiercely pressed on top, changing the shape of his face. Ah! Fang Shishir let out a suppressed scream, but she didn't know that this scream was full of temptation. Tang Zheng's hand tightened, and the two people's bodies were tightly pressed together. We moved to a new house, so of course we have to celebrate. Tang Zheng raised his head, and their eyes met, and their two faces were almost touching. Two pairs of eyes were filled with deep affection, and Fang Shishir almost melted in his eyes. Not only did her body soften, but her heart also softened. The two people's mouths slowly kissed together, and the familiar taste and feeling exploded from the bottom of their hearts. Let's go to bed. Tang Zheng picked her up by the waist and walked towards the bedroom. Fang Shishir leaned her head on his shoulder, bit her lips and said, Grandpa will be back. Didn't Grandpa say that he would be back in 2 hours? It's still early. Tang Zheng was definitely not willing to give up halfway this time. Humph, you've been planning this for a long time. Fang Shishir said coquettishly. Hi hey, how could that be? I'm very pure. Tang Zheng laughed evilly. Pure your head. Fang Shishir knocked his forehead. Tang Zheng gently put her on the bed, and her curvaceous body immediately appeared, causing his eyes to stare at her. Brat, take her down in one go. Tian Chanzi said. Go away. Tang Zheng quickly sealed him, not giving him a chance to do a free show. The two people were entangled together, and Tang Zheng's hands were not obedient, and began to attack. Fang Shishir's clothes were taken off one by one, and soon, only her bra was left on her upper body. Looking at the hemispherical shape that was wrapped up, his eyes were about to spit fire, and his body temperature rose even higher, and the true qi in his veins began to become restless. It was such a beautiful scene, and it would be a pity to block it, so he quickly took off her bra, but after a long time, he still couldn't get it. Poochie. Fang Shishir looked at his embarrassed state, and couldn't help but laugh. Tang Zheng's face was red with embarrassment, and he said resentfully, "It's the first time, I'm not familiar with it, and I really don't know how to take it off." Fang Shishir glanced at him flirtatiously, and she reached behind her and gently took off her bra, revealing the beautiful scene in front of Tang Zheng's eyes. Gulp. Tang Zheng forcefully swallowed his saliva. Stupid. Fang Shishir was shy and sweet, but she saw the deep love in the eyes of the person she loved, so she gathered her courage and straightened her chest. Tang Zheng was like a hungry wolf, and he pounced on her. A moment later, the two of them were completely naked, and their bodies were covered in sweat. Tang Zheng used all his strength, but he found that his knowledge in this area was too lacking, and he couldn't get it right. He was so anxious that his forehead was covered in sweat. Fang Shishir was about to melt, and she hugged his waist and shyly encouraged him, "Try again, this time it will definitely work." It was the first time for both of them, and they were inexperienced. Tang Zheng naturally wouldn't give up, or else he would despise himself in the future. He finally used all his strength, and after studying for a long time, he finally succeeded. Ah! Fang Shishir's shy cry of pain made Tang Zheng's movement stop. "Is it very painful?" he asked with heartache. Fang Shishir frowned, nodded, and then took a deep breath, and said, "Slow down." Tang Zheng was afraid of hurting her, so he went from slow to fast, and the two of them finally went through the mountain of Wu, and wandered in that wonderful feeling. The true qi in Tang Zheng's body was like boiling water, and his body temperature suddenly rose, like a red-hot iron, but Fang Shishir didn't feel anything. Her eyes were half closed, and she bit her lips. Her face was crimson red, and she was full of shyness and satisfaction. Tang Zheng was like a wild horse galloping through the prairie, and he freely scattered his energy. The pure yin energy continuously passed from Fang Shishir's body into his. This pure yin energy was like a solid substance, and it was so thick that it couldn't be dissolved. It flowed through his meridians, and in an instant, it came into contact with the boiling true qi. The boiling true qi was like a violent child meeting a loved one, and under the affectionate comfort, it began to become docile and grow. The true qi in the 9 main meridians rose, from 4 inches and 6 parts to 7 parts, 8 parts, as if there was no end. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.